Good to go?
Good to go.
Okay.
The blue really
I'd like-
stands out in the room.
No,
It does.
I like the wall, I mean, the.
It's like a daylight.
I know. I'd like to call the committee meeting of the Ordinance Committee to order. It is Thursday, November 2nd at 6:35. Present with me, I have Counselor Lopez, Counselor Jourdain, and I'm Counselor Vacan. Welcome, everybody. We do have a petitioner here,
Yeah, so
So-
why don't we, I'll make a motion, what number are we?
item 7.
Okay, I'd like to suspend the rules to go to item number 7.
And six, I think, both, they're here.
Oh, they're for both?
No West Road
Oh, okay.
is here as
Oh,
well?
all right.
Okay.
As a package?
One at a time. Well, let's
Well,
just
yeah,
start
we'll
with
go with 7.
7 and then we'll do 6.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So item 7 was filed by, I'm not sure who it was filed by. It is a petition from a vendor for a vendor license application for Jeanette Vega on Main Street. So Jeanette, if you know, you can come in and sit at the desk, or you can stand at the microphone, whichever you prefer. This is for a vendor license application at 227 West Franklin Street, right? And you currently have a license that will go through December of this year. And we're understanding that you'd like an extension until June 30th of next year. So if you could just give us a summary of what you're looking to do. We weren't clear as to whether you want to continue through the entire winter or you were planning ahead for the next season. So if you could just let us know, that would be great.
Just make sure the microphone's on, Jeanette.
On top.
There's a button, there you go.
Because it's busy, so I've been busy and my truck is making good there. So I was planning in the winter, like doing breakfast and lunch. And when it's not snowing, I'm not coming up, but when it's cold, I come out. Because a lot of people call me, like it was raining the other day and I didn't get out. And people was calling me for sandwich, for this, for that. And I don't want to stop because it's getting good business there.
Okay. Are there any questions? She has an active license, so she's looking to extend it. And-
Do we have hours specified now? Like what the hours are?
Like in the morning?
Yeah, like
What time
hours
of
that you
day?
No,
operate?
I'll be there like 7 to 6
7 a.m.
in the morning and 6 in the afternoon.
till 6 at night, okay. And what days a week?
Monday to Saturdays.
Monday through Saturday, okay, so we should just add that as a.
And that's what you're doing now, right? So that's not a change
Yeah,
from
right.
anything.
But that may or may
So
not be
this-
in the,
Yeah, yeah.
just so we have it right, okay. All right, so I'll make a motion to grant the extension until June 30th, 2018, maintaining the hours of Monday through Saturday from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. for operation.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks for coming down and letting
you.
us know.
Yep, bye-bye. Well, our next council meeting, we're not sure yet, could be third Tuesday in November. So after that, you could come the next day to the clerk's office to get your new permit.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
see ya, bye-bye.
Thanks.
I make a
And-
motion to, oh, go ahead, I'm sorry, did you want to say something?
I was just going to say to them, I thought you were all together at first, sorry.
Oh, okay. Are you from Nuestra Races?
Okay.
Make a motion to take up item number 6.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Item 6, a request for a city council vendor license application for Nuestros Races at 329 Main Street. I have that in here somewhere. There we go. Okay, so based on looking at this, and you can explain it to us more, it looks like you're sort of having a portable farmer's market, for maybe lack of a better description. So maybe you could talk to us a little bit about it, because we have gotten feedback from the general superintendent relative to the permit that he doesn't see it as something that comes under that. So,
Yeah, it's in a weird place. just
so
'cause of what
maybe
it
if we
is.
could hear what it is you're trying to do, we could have a better picture of it.
Okay, so basically the mobile market is.
And can you just tell us your name and
Oh,
address?
yes. So my name is Louis Colon. I live on 154 Nonotuck Street, Holyoke.
Thanks.
No problem.
Continue, Louis.
Okay, so the mobile market is a retrofitted school bus actually made to specifically sell vegetables, mostly or almost all local to Holyoke and the residents. And our idea was to take it to most of the nonprofit, what do you call it? Assisted living, so all the Holyoke housing authorities and any other areas we thought were
So
basically what we-
senior housing?
Senior housing and other, what do you call it? Oh my God.
Like this
Low income
elderly,
housing, excuse me. Low income housing and the assisted living.
So is the idea that you would be in their parking lot?
So we actually garnered agreements with them. We'd actually be in front of their properties.
so right on the street.
Right on the
On the
street.
street,
Right on the
okay.
street from, at 45 minutes intervals in between each actual stop.
You wouldn't be stopping traffic on the street, though.
No, not at
They
all.
would come up from the sidewalk.
They would come up and they actually walk onto the bus and shop on the bus. There's no stand. It's all inside the school bus. All transactions happen inside the school bus. It's all vegetables.
So can you tell us a little bit more about your coordination with the apartment?
Yes. Okay.
Management?
So yep. So right now with Holyoke Housing Authorities, we are set up outside of their 6 different stops that we're going to, right out front of their actual properties, from Tuesdays to Thursday. So it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, from 9 to 1.
Tuesday through Thursday.
6 stops.
9 a.m. to
So-
1 p.m.
Is that what you're looking to do?
Looking to do now until we acquire more funds to actually add more stops if possible. But right now, in the short term, we're looking at 4 stops a day, rotating stops.
On Tuesday, Wednesday, and
Tuesday,
Thursday?
Wednesday, and Thursday, correct.
And what time period of the year?
All year long,
Oh, even in the winter?
even in the winter.
That could be challenging in the winter.
It's very
Because of
challenging.
the snow, and for us to say, you know, here's what's your expectation? What if I'm Joe Citizen and I'm parked on the sidewalk? Are you saying, well, I got a permit, move your car?
Yeah, that's the actual problems I was actually thinking about addressing later, but I don't really know how I'd handle that situation. It's kind of difficult.
Because it's like, you've got your bus, but I got my parking spot. And say you pick Bowdoin Village and you say, you know, we're gonna go on X spot on Leary Drive, but those are
Oh,
parking.
the spots that we actually have picked out are actually going to be blocked off by the actual Holyoke Housing Authority before we get there.
Well, they can't do that without our permission. They can't touch anything to do with a street
Okay,
without our blessing.
understood.
So Housing Authority has never come forward to say, we're gonna put in a mobile market spot. I don't even know if we would ever allow that, to be perfectly honest with you, because we would have to allow them a temporary sort of quote-unquote loading zone or something like that to go on the street to say, you know, once a week for this period of time. I mean, we'd have to put up signage and allow that. Otherwise, people could just park there with no penalty.
Understood.
I think probably what he's saying is Holyoke housing parking areas. Like, for example, when you go into
Their parking lots.
their parking lots.
It's in their parking.
Yeah, it's in their park. Yeah,
Well,
they're in their
well,
parking
why
lot.
don't you, well, you could do that now without any permit needed from us at all.
That's
That's
what
what
we're
I-
trying to partly figure out. So
Okay.
I just wanted to read into the record
Yeah,
what
that's
Mike
what I-
McManus said in his letter, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so in August, Mike McManus wrote to Mr. Duran, and said, "It is my opinion that there is not an applicable permit that the Department of Public Works offers for your intentions of a mobile farmer's market. The typical street vendor permit, a road occupancy permit, is for vendors who occupy a stationary location for the day, which does not apply to your situation. Please consider this letter as compliance with the Holyoke City Council street vendor license application requirement to obtain a street vendor application from the Department of Public Works."
You don't qualify under that because you're not a fixed location. Like the lady before you. Every day, she comes with her van, serves food at the exact same location on the street every day. You're a different thing. Why don't,
Right, he does have the food
but
service,
it's not fixed location.
correct, but he does have that attached to that.
What I would be
application.
thinking for advice for you is one of two things. One, go to the parking lots of these. So if you pull into Prospect Heights, you pull into Zelinski Apartments, Coughlin, you could pull right into their parking lot and do whatever you want without any need of permission from us whatsoever.
Right.
As long as you have housing authority blessing.
Yep, okay.
You're good to go.
Yeah.
Now, you could try that, and then if you get into a situation where it's a little more nebulous, for example, Bowden Village, their parking lot is a public way.
Right, but that's not elderly housing. You're
Yeah,
you're
that's-
marketing
yeah,
to
we're
the
not going to
elders,
Bolden
right?
Village.
You're not going to Bowden Village.
No
He's
Bolden
looking to-
Village.
he's-
You're
he's
just
looking
doing
to
the
elders.
elderly.
Yes,
And you're using that as an example.
and we're
because,
using all their own parking
the
lots as
yeah,
well.
like
Then you don't
475.
need this.
Yeah,
Because you could go into the Falsetti Towers, parking lot in the back.
yeah,
Yep.
that's what I was
You
thinking.
know, Boudry Boucher doesn't have a
No, they don't have a parking lot.
But,
But you can
but
go
most of them, you
into-
can't, most of them do.
But you can, I mean, you're not far from Casa Maria there, I'm pretty sure you will be able to get a
Yeah,
parking
you could go
lot.
across the street
Yeah.
and just park in theirs, they wouldn't care.
Yeah, I don't think that will give you any hard time.
I think you're all set, you don't need any permit, and you don't have,
I thought we were all set too, but I wanted to
But,
make sure.
but you know what, we appreciate you checking it out. We're sorry that, you were inconvenienced, but it looks like Mike did advise him properly.
Can I ask, Lee,
Sure.
do you have the location where you're going?
Yes, I have them written down.
Can you read them? I just want to
Yeah,
double
of
check you
course.
have you have parking spaces.
Okay.
Or public parking for those buildings.
So, Topfer Apartments, Coughlin Apartments, Zielinski Apartments, Rosary Tower, and Falsetti.
you're good on
Yeah,
all
you're good.
those.
Yeah, you're
All of
fine.
them have parking lots.
So I think the only time it would come into play was if it was on the public street.
Yeah.
That would be if you end up on the street, like say you decide, we're gonna do Bowden Village next year, right? Their roundabout
is all-
is a street, so that you would need a spot.
Yeah,
But-
makes sense.
But then what you could do is you could say for those, you're a fixed location, a certain
On a
time of the
certain
year,
day.
then you would qualify
For that one
under this.
spot.
You would
Right.
say, every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, from this to this, and then you could come in for that permit. So down the road, if you expand your service area to these fixed locations at certain spots, we could permit that.
Right, and if he has enough volume.
Yeah, well, if it's worth your while.
Yeah.
but-
Yeah.
Well, thank you, appreciate it.
All
Yeah,
right, well,
good
thank
luck.
you. Yeah.
Take care.
All right, see you, Louis.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. 1876.
So we're gonna, call this complied with?
Yeah.
I would make a motion that it be denied, in that, we either grant, it's a permit application, we either grant it or we deny it.
What about if I get a letter to withdraw it?
Then that would be fine.
That would be better. Oh, yeah,
yeah.
that would be better.
Probably, yeah, he did, he went that way.
I think so. I'm gonna write on here, withdrawn, not needed,
Yeah,
or required.
because he's doing the parking lots.
That was
Oh,
quick.
he's fast.
But if you can just reach out to him, we'll still handle it that way. Because he was basically indicating, well, I'm not,
Well, let's just get a letter from him between now and then.
right, right.
I will
But
go
I'm just
by-
noting it as
All right, so,
withdrawn.
motion to allow him to withdraw his application.
All right, is there a second?
Second,
All in favor? Aye.
because I'm pretty sure he's gonna come back.
Yeah, exactly.
Withdraw.
Which of these next would you like to tackle?
My interest on items 1 and 2 was I wanted to hammer out the procedural timelines, because we've been going back and forth on it. I didn't really necessarily feel the need for a debate about
The issue.
necessarily, but we can go there if people want. But can you excuse me for?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, take your time.
But if you can be thinking how that chapter applies, given when we open the hearing, I'll be right back. So-
Yep.
Yep.
What a difference, huh? Jeez.
Oh my God, I know. Unbelievable. This is really bright in here.
All the photos, I mean, the walls are beautiful. So do you think that that will be fine if we talk to Ryan and use this space for Monday?
Oh, what is it again for?
We're raising the flags.
Oh, and you want to have a little reception after?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, that's fine. No problem.
So that we keep order and.
Thank you for bearing with me.
Oh, sure.
So at the last meeting, we got into a discussion as to how that law applies. I didn't feel that we got closure in that
Correct.
discussion. And so what I wanted to do tonight was to clarify the applicability of that law with the schedule. We opened the hearing in September. We opened our hearing. Eileen Regan from the planning board came in and opened their hearing and continued it to the next month. Subsequent to that, we had a hearing, they had a hearing. Subsequent to that, we closed our hearing, theirs is open. So my question is the 65-day clock ticking?
65-day clock.
Or,
It's my opinion that 65 days ticks from the day that their public hearing starts,
which was September.
whatever that date is, yeah.
So let's take a peek here.
It's actually 45 days. 65 days till they
Okay.
have to have a hearing.
Okay, so the public hearing was opened on 9/21,
But this is planning,
both.
okay?
We had advertised for both, and they couldn't do it jointly. They were tied up in the annex, and Eileen Regan came over, opened theirs, and continued it. We continued to 10/10. We closed on 10/24. They are still open, as far as we know.
That's gonna be the same issue that happened to my order.
Yes, but I believe that was incorrect, because
Yeah.
the opinion that we were given on Diosdato's order was that the city council couldn't do anything because the planning board still had the hearing open,
Yeah,
which would have meant in any instance that they're going to give us an opinion, if they keep their hearing open for the rest of our lives, we could never make a decision about a matter, and that can't be correct.
yeah.
It's not correct.
They're an advisory body. They are not a deciding body. So how could they possibly have that authority? It's just not possible. So, but I want to clarify that because it stood for Diestados, except that at the end, I think you let it go
I
because you
let it
knew you
go.
didn't have the
I
10
didn't have the
votes.
vote. Yeah.
But that was what was stated, and I said that can't be correct.
But my whole issue with this is, I mean, if they want this thing done ASAP, so why they're not giving us any recommendation? That way we can move forward.
Exactly.
So,
So I want to follow the law, but I don't want to follow an incorrect interpretation of the law that keeps us from acting in a prudent and timely manner.
yeah.
But I also don't want our decision to be able to be questioned after the fact.
Yeah.
You know, that were the timelines met and et cetera, et cetera. I think I have. So, if my recollection is correct, it's 65 days to hold the hearing once the notice is sent over. So that has been met because the hearing was opened. So then, the next timeline that I recall is 21 days.
You're right, yep, 21 days.
But it says after the hearing.
After the, yeah.
So their interpretation was that if the hearing wasn't closed, that you weren't to after the hearing. So in that case, if the hearing wasn't closed, then in my mind, the 65-day rule would kick in.
It's 21 days after the hearing has elapsed. It's not that it's 21 days after the hearing has elapsed. It's the 21 days elapsing, not that the hearing elapsed. That's the plain reading of the statute. So it says this. I'm reading from chapter 48, section 5. It reads as follows. No vote to adopt any such proposed ordinance or bylaw or amendment shall be taken until a report with the recommendations by a planning board has been submitted to the town meeting or city council, or 21 days after said hearing, the hearing that they had, has elapsed without submission of such report. So once they have their hearing, they have to either give us a report or they got a 21-day window to give us a report from that.
Okay.
And if they don't, then we could proceed absent that. So
So my question then is procedurally, when did the 21-day clock start ticking?
when they had their hearing,
So that's the first day, the
what was
9/21.
the day that they had their hearing?
The 9/21, right?
9/21 is when they opened it
Yeah.
and continued it,
So it's-
and I think they continued it to the 10th, like we
Yeah,
did.
they got 21 days from their hearing. After that, they're either giving us a report or we can go without it.
So would that date then be 10/31?
I don't think it's even that long. 21 days is only 3 weeks. It's probably about October 15th.
So you're counting from 9/12, even though they just
No, it
opened
was
and continued?
9/21.
That's on the-
Well, what day was the day they opened the hearing?
9/12.
Oh, 9/12. I thought you said 21.
Oh, if I did, I misspoke.
Okay. So 9/12, so 21 days from 9/12. That's it. All game over, as far as they're concerned. They can keep it open till doomsday. It's irrelevant. That's an
Okay.
absurd result. That would mean that the planning board would have an absolute
Veto
veto
power.
over anything the city council does. That's insane. And
Okay.
they don't have that authority, and I can't even imagine how somebody could interpret it that way. The key is, it says 21 days after the hearing has elapsed. So the elapsed is referring to the 21 days. It's not referring to the hearing having elapsed. It's referring to 21 days having elapsed.
Because
Maybe
they're
somebody's just
saying
misreading
that the
that.
hearing didn't happen because it isn't over.
After the
That's
hearing.
what they
Well,
were saying.
Basically, what they're saying is that the 21 days start when they close their public hearing.
Correct.
Which is crazy.
Which is crazy.
But that's what they said
Well,
last time.
let them take us to court and they can challenge it.
Okay.
Their interpretations are
Okay,
ridiculous.
so,
Let's just do what the mayor does, ignore the law.
okay,
So what's the difference? He interprets people to say that he can keep getting campaign donations when he's not allowed to under the ordinance. He feels he can open up needle exchange programs without local approval. You know,
I know.
I think we have to do what we have to do and move.
So then we're all agreed that the timelines have been met. Our public
Yes.
hearing is properly closed. It was closed on 10/24. So we can make our recommendation at any time that we so choose to the council at this point.
correct.
All right. So if that is the case, what is the pleasure?
By the way, we have 90 days after the date of the public hearing, our public hearing being closed. That's the other time limit.
Right.
Then we have to have a second public hearing.
Right, and this is what they were using against us in that whole argument is,
well-
well, our hearing is still open and you're running out of time.
Yeah, no.
That's
So
baloney.
now you can't make a decision.
That's baloney.
Okay, so then, if you wish to have further discussion on it, I would just remind us, and
I would kind of prefer to have, do we have the final, do we have a draft in front of us or what?
well, what we have is what Marcos Marrero brought.
Okay,
We have legal form that we were given at the last meeting for the moratorium. We have legal form for IP and IG for growing. And we have the draft that Marcos Marrero brought and
yeah.
that Crystal created that had the 4 definitions and had every business zone present.
correct. Which is this document here.
Yeah, I got
I
it.
the last one.
Yes. Now, and
What's your opinion, Madam Chair? You want to?
well, my opinion is the same tonight as it was that night,
Yep,
which is that I'm not in favor of any of those broadened business zones for retail. I'm in favor of the moratorium. But if there was to be a compromise of some sort, then the only thing I'd be even willing to think about,
put it all in IG.
all in IG.
Well, we should go ahead with the IG and
Yeah.
forget about.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that way, they're asking for us to do this ASAP, so I think the IG will be fair.
yeah. So let's go through the
My
wording.
question is, and I mean, we can have any amount of discussion on this that we want, but I'm not sure, do we need to give the planning board any time further to get back to us with a recommendation, or they can just give it to us before the next council meeting if they want to?
Well, it's November 2nd. They
Right.
had their hearings. It's been 2 months.
Yeah, they're done.
What more do they need? I mean, they're not,
Right, and they'll be meeting again on the 14th, so
if they have something they would like us to consider.
I basically think this is it.
Yeah.
That
What-
what Marcos brought.
Yeah, let's just go through it one more time, but I'm open to
Do
this.
you want to run
proposal.
down it?
Yeah, I mean, it looks like, I like the 4 divisions that he made between manufacturing establishment, dispensary, retail establishment, testing facility. I'm fine with all that.
So first page is.
It looks like first page is good. And then the next page, we get to permitted district 710-4. That's where we want to say IG only for everything.
Yep.
correct?
Yeah. I
Yes.
agree.
So, I would recommend, I'll make a motion to amend this to say IG only zones for all four.
I second that. Yep.
Okay, all in favor on the amendment?
Aye. So that's that. And then, do you have a clean version that you want us to mark
I'm,
up?
I'm looking to see if I
go
can
with mine.
find
There's
it.
a
I
bunch
don't
of
know if I
notes.
gave it back to Ryan or not, but
I only have one.
I don't see it here.
It's a
No,
little
I-
bit clean. I don't know if you want to use mine.
Is yours pretty clean?
Well, a little bit.
I could,
Yeah.
I could
It's
amend.
clean. I mean, it's only I wrote planning and then now
Okay,
you can use that one.
All right, thanks.
that's fine.
I don't know if sometimes I give him back and I don't have an extra copy. My one concern, and they didn't give us the red line version,
Yeah, we don't.
was I thought we had a lot of language about security and the police chiefs approving the plan.
Well, why don't we do this? The other
You
thing we,
make it as the other, yeah.
yeah, we could also make, put, our next meeting is what, November
We can,
3rd, the 21st. So we could meet on the 14th again. What we could do is, let's go through all of this, let's vote on the 14th,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
and then we'll have the vote on the 21st in front of the city council.
Yeah, because I haven't had time to compare this to the current ordinance.
but that's what I would like to see, if we can get a red line.
Ask them for
Yeah.
that.
So we're not gonna get that either, so I think I have to do it myself. Okay.
We'll
so
do
I
it,
need a
our-
copy- I need a
yeah, yeah,
copy.
I'll give this back to you.
Well, I'll at least send me a copy, whatever. No, if you
Yeah, yeah,
want.
okay.
Yeah.
And then, well, I have my own, so I'm okay, yeah, I'm okay. So IG only, so that's the only change there. So now we're into 7.105.
Here I am.
Operational. We have marijuana establishments may only use their designated square footage for the purposes of operating, No marijuana can be smoked, eaten, Operating is 8 to, operations including deliveries may not occur within 8 PM to 8 AM, okay. Physical requirements, all aspects of the marijuana should take place at a fixed location within a fully enclosed, no outside storage, no MMD. This currently is 5,000 feet on C. I'd like to make a motion to keep that at 5,000, that's 2C. They made us, put in a proposal to go to 15,000. That seems way too high. That's massive. So I would recommend an amendment to, I'll make to
Keep it at
2C,
5.
keep it at
Now is
5,000.
5.
Yep, second that.
All in favor? Aye.
And then ventilation, all marijuana establishments will be ventilated, pesticides,
Chris,
yeah.
this isn't really legal language, right?
What's that?
What we're looking at now.
So we have
But
to
it
go-
is a draft, so we're
Go
better
back and
off to
compare,
amend
yeah.
it.
Well, what we're saying is just put this
That we want to
into,
keep it at 5,000.
Yeah.
Yep.
and then, all signage shall comply with one of the cannabis control CMR, they don't have that out yet. And signs, 6.4, location, a MMMD shall not be, and that's manufacturing, no, medical dispensary. Shall not be located in buildings that contain any pharmacy, medical doctor's offices, otherwise, yeah.
That's because it's against the law
Yeah,
federally,
yeah,
right?
I think it is. A marijuana establishment shall not be located in buildings that contain any residential units, transient, okay. Number 4, issuance, transfer, discontinuance of use, a special permit shall be valid only for the registered entity to which the approval was issued, only for the site on which marijuana has been authorized. A special permit shall be non-transferable, shall have a term limit to the applicant's ownership or control. Permitted marijuana establishment shall file an annual report with the clerk office, providing all applicable state licenses. A special permit shall lapse if the applicant ceases operation of the marijuana, or has it revoked.
And what would that be? What would ceasing operation be? You have to say X days, right?
Cease operations of the marijuana establishment.
Or like how long? What would be a ceasing of operation?
Period of 7 days.
But shouldn't we say what it is?
The applicant ceases operation of the marijuana for a period of month,
30 days?
30 days, yeah. All right, so make a motion to add language to 4D that says if the applicant ceases operation of the marijuana establishment for a period of 30 days. Add that for a period of 30 days there. Is there a second to that, or?
Second?
All in favor?
Subsection I, the applicant shall notify zoning enforcement and the clerk, okay, within 24 hours of such an event. E, a marijuana establishment shall be required to remove all material, plants, equipment, other paraphernalia. That's fine. Those are state regulations. Application, procedure, and requirements. An application for a special permit shall include the following: name and address. See, we already have this all spelled out on the current one. I wonder how much of this got
Well,
changed.
see, this is,
Well, we gotta cross-check.
and we will look at that
We have to,
before we
yeah.
do anything.
Yeah, we have to go back.
Evidence, I mean, I suppose I could look it up, but that would be time consuming. Evidence that the applicant has site control and right to use of the site. Notarized statement. Description of activities. A written notice from chief of police shall be submitted to the council stating that an acceptable security plan has been reviewed and approved.
Yeah.
Yep. Must be the new lights. Details of all the proposed exterior security measures, a development impact statement, a traffic impact statement. Site plan, special permit application shall include a site plan prepared by an architect, a locus plan showing the entire proposed development, distance of 300 feet from the boundaries of the proposed, improvement plan, plan depicting all existing and proposed buildings, roadways, etc. Building plan, a detailed floor plan showing square footages for each use within the marijuana establishment, detail sheet, pavement work, markings, lighting, review procedure. Upon receipt of an application, the city clerk shall forward a copy for review to the building department, fire department, police, and all these other
Okay, now where is that into the application?
Yeah,
And is that where they're saying the security aspect is addressed?
that one is in 1F.
1F.
That looks similar.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay,
That does look similar.
okay.
In the cases of new construction, in addition to the requirements of this section, site plan review, the applicant may need to file with the Stormwater Authority, stormwater management permit application per stormwater regulations. 7, in addition to standard findings for a special permit, the city council must also find the following: the marijuana establishment is designed to minimize any adverse impacts on abutters. Marijuana establishment demonstrate that it meets all the permitting requirement of the state. The applicant has satisfied all the conditions and requirements of this section, other sections of this ordinance. Marijuana establishment provides adequate security measures. No individual participant poses a direct threat. Marijuana establishment adequately addresses issues of traffic, demand, circulation, flow. Here he is.
Oh, Counselor
Always a
Bartley has
pleasure.
joined us. Welcome, glad you could make it.
Yeah, wow, does it seem brighter here?
It is brighter. It seems to be making my eye go crazy.
Okay.
There's your agenda.
You guys are much more handsome than I remember.
I don't know, we're under the bright lights now.
No, very, very handsome,
Nice.
handsome girl. No doubt about that. Okay,
Okay.
where are we, Madam Chair? Sorry.
We are under discussion of 1 and 2,
Okay,
and not to think we were shirking, we did take out of order items 6 and 7.
okay, so
And
6,
we have covered those and taken action on those.
great.
We are just about completed after having a discussion about making sure we were on the same page about our interpretation of the timelines relative to the public hearing that we closed on the 24th.
Yes,
We had a discussion as to when the clock started ticking relative to the public hearing and the 21 days. And the consensus of the committee is that the 21 days started when the hearing was opened, which was on September 12th.
Which is what the statute, in my opinion, says. It says 21 days after the hearing has
And
elapsed.
we have it here if you want to look at it further. So we had that discussion. We're still in discussion on those items. We are reviewing the document that Marcos Marrero gave to us at the last meeting. This is from our files from the last meeting. We are up to findings.
Yeah, finding, yeah.
The actions that we've taken so far, that we would need to reconsider if it was requested, would be that under permitted districts, we have under 7.10.4, permitted only each defined area of the 4 in IG. Do you want me to change that to 4-0?
Madam Chair,
Would
would
you
you
like
just
to
motion
be-
reconsider so I can add my voice to that vote?
Okay.
Sure.
To reconsider.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So motion to reconsider is before us on permitted districts under the recreational marijuana ordinance, which includes the 4 defined areas, and limiting these permitted uses in the zone of IG only.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so that becomes 4-0. The other amendment that we made to this draft, which is not in legal form, was under 2C to maintain for the MMD and the RMRE, which are,
Can I just add one more clarification, Madam Chair?
yep, I just want to say, medical marijuana dispensary and medical recreational marijuana retail establishment. We prefer to keep the gross floor area at 5,000 rather than expanding it to 15,000. That amendment was offered and voted. Is that on this that you want to clarify?
No, actually,
Okay.
back on permitted districts.
So we're just under reconsideration now, so
You can put me as
so
a
that he
yes,
can add.
as a yes vote.
Yeah, I wanted to do a reconsideration because I
Okay.
wanted to just change a couple
Okay,
words.
so under reconsideration on the second amendment to keep at the 5,000, all in favor?
Aye.
So that's 4-0.
Yep.
You want to reconsider what?
I would like to consider our vote on 7.104, just to add a couple additional tweaks as I'm looking at the language in the current ordinance.
Is there a second? Second. All in favor? Aye.
I'd like to change the word medical marijuana establishments, instead of saying shall be allowed in the following zones, may only be allowed. They'll change the word shall to may only.
Okay.
Shall sort of seems like
Must.
it must be done, as opposed to this is all going to be by discretion of a special permit of the city
Right.
council. I just like it, just makes it a little
You're
more
sort of
clear
arguing
that
against
this
yourself.
this is a granting of legislative indulgence of the city council.
And that language clarifies that that is a legislative indulgence.
Right.
So
That
instead of it
amendment.
saying marijuana establishments shall be allowed in the following zones, I'd like to say marijuana establishments may only be allowed in the following zones.
Sounds good.
Okay. So
And
I'd like
it's
to-
only the following zones.
Well, we're gonna get,
Yeah.
in the following, oh, yes, that's a good one.
Yeah.
So may only, so change the word shall to may only, and change the word zones to zone.
I got that.
Is there a second to that,
Second.
or, okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
And
So
I'd
that's
li-
actually a different amendment.
Yes, and I'd like to also add the following amendment too. On each of these different 4 points, I'd like it, because in the current ordinance, it says, general industry, special permit of the city council. These say by special permit in IG. I just want to be clear, on each of those, I'd like to add the word after special permit to
Of the
say,
city
of the city
council.
council, not of anybody else, of the city council, after special permit on each of these 4.
Now, may I raise a point of order?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So and this is either for the chair or for the president, on a special permit, what's the vote that's needed at the full city council?
10,
So 2/3.
yes, sir.
So that's pro forma, always 2/3 for special permit.
Pro forma unless there is an abutter petition in opposition,
And
then
then
it
we'll
kicks
go
it up to 3/4.
3/4, okay, so yeah, we had that before. Okay, thank you.
Yep, my pleasure.
So we have a motion to add special permit of the city council under each
Yep.
So
definition.
next year
Is there
will
a
be
second?
Oh, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So next year will be, what?
Be nine to
Nine?
4.
Is it
Would have to be a passing
For,
vote.
for a special permit.
9.
So 9's the new magic number. Let's see, so I'm just making sure they kept what they kept as the same language.
Oh, so you're doing the side by side.
I
as
am
we
doing
go.
the side by side.
Bless you. Because what I was gonna say is, when we got to the end, to ask it to go into legal form, but make sure all the current ordinance language is included.
Well, I
But
already,
this is, it's good to look.
all right, I already
No.
found,
Eliminated sound?
yes, so A and B, okay, so I'm under 7.10.5, use, A and B are word for word the same.
Okay.
C says currently, in no event shall facility be open to the public and no sale or distribution of marijuana shall occur upon the premises
Of course, that's.
or via delivery from the premise except to an OMD between the hours of 8 and 8. So operations, this says operations including deliveries. We could add the language, these facilities shall not be open to the public and no sale or distribution of marijuana?
Well, except that we've now included the dispensary, the
Oh,
retail
okay. Maybe that's why.
establishments,
Yeah.
and the lab,
All right,
or the testing,
uh,
whatever it is.
But we can make it specific, just to make sure that not only one.
We could keep
Yeah,
the medical
keep it, yeah.
one in.
Yes.
Counselor, why not make the motion?
Yeah, we'd like to make a motion that we keep the medical marijuana, the same language that we have previously.
yes, so that's gonna be
Second that
the
one.
Yeah.
MME and the MM in no event shall an RMD or OMM
It would be the MME, the manufacturing, right?
Yeah,
and MMD.
the MMD, yeah, those two,
So those two would not be open to the public.
yeah.
And no sale or distribution shall occur on the premises or via delivery from the premises except to an
So
MMD.
add for MME and MMD original ordinance language.
In section 1, I'll give you the 7.105C, 1C, keep that language.
Okay. This is how I wrote it. 7.105C,
Yep,
1C,
1C.
under that.
Yep, so it's 7.10.5, 1C.
Oh.
So I'll second Counselor Lopez's motion.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
So let's see, all aspects of them, now we're to 2.
What, are you gonna give your version to Crystal?
Yeah,
Okay, because mine's getting sloppy, to
Yep.
say the least.
And the intention of the committee, Madam Chair, is to have this in legal form for our next full city council?
well, we're
It's to
gonna,
have it in legal form for our next
the
ordinance meeting
14th, and then vote on the 21st.
on the 14th.
Oh, great, so we will meet the 14th then?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, I'm trying to keep things moving. I'm not trying to circumvent the regular schedule, but,
Great.
yeah.
okay, 2A and B are the same. C, we fixed to go back to 5,000. They had
Which we
the-
already
we fixed that
reconsidered, so
one.
Dave could
Yes.
vote. And the others were references to the law.
D looks the same.
Want to be able to see it better.
E, they basically kept the same, but we had added another provision which said at the facility entrance in plain sight of client stating registration card issued by the Mass Department of Public Health required in text of 2 inches in height. That's the way it says in
I thought we
current
took
E.
that from law.
Perhaps we
I
did.
don't think we would have made that up.
No.
No.
So this is just saying comply with the state regulations.
Oh,
So
okay,
maybe
so
it
they're
says the
saying
same
if they
thing.
make it 3 inches instead of 2 inches.
Exactly, yeah.
Then we,
So that one sounds
Yeah.
fine.
that makes sense. Because Crystal is good like that in saying, reference the law instead of having to change things every other
I think that's a good move.
week, yeah.
All right, 3A looks good. 3B is word for word the same. 4A,
And I did see the security part that when I was originally flipping through last time I couldn't see, but it's pretty
B
much
looks
the
good.
same.
Same language, good.
But it's good
Oh.
Kevin pulled it up to do the side by side.
just so you know, 4C was changed from a annual report to the city council to an annual report to the city clerk. Do we care about that? But I just want to let you know, in the current language, it says the report shall come to the city council.
Well, does, if it goes to the clerk, does she give it to the council? Or
She
does
may,
just
she may
file it?
not.
I think that you should do it to both city council and
So city
clerk.
clerk's office and city council.
Yeah. Is that a motion,
Yeah.
Dio?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
So to the city clerk's office and the city council, no later than.
Yep.
da-da-da.
D.
Oh, and then we talked about ceasing operation.
Yeah.
And I said, so what does that mean? So we decided it meant if it was for a period of 30 days,
D is the
That it
same
stopped.
language.
that would be considered a cease.
Did we define it right in there, or do we have a definition?
So,
Table.
see, here it just said ceases operation, and then you have to do this and that. So we said ceases operation for a period of 30 days. To put, so what
61A,
would cease
61B
mean?
is the
A
same.
year, 10 years, 30?
Yeah, that's fine. You can either leave it there, you can have a definition schedule at the front.
C is
so-
the, 61C is the same. 61,
The only definitions that we did in the front were what they were,
So,
but,
feel free to,
But
we
I
can
think-
think that out.
yeah.
It's okay.
yeah,
I like it the
yeah.
way it is, but if you want to change
It's just down
it.
there now for the moment.
Sure.
D is the same. We're now on this page here
Mm-hmm.
of E.
What section are you in, Kevin? Mr.
I'm
President?
in 7.10.6 on 1E. E is the
So they only
same,
changed a couple things.
agreed.
Well, some pretty salient things that.
Yeah,
Which-
like the zones, yeah.
Well, the zones, that was
That was the big
significant.
change, and the
That was
5,000 to
significant. But we did note
15,000.
that at the meeting, the last meeting.
F is the same. G is the same. H, I are both the same. 2, locus. Improvements plan, building plan, details, review procedure.
Under review procedure, when you're done reviewing that section, Kevin, I just want to make a comment.
Sure. For new construction. That's the same. 1. D is the same. C is the same. Oh, they eliminated, this is this is an important one. Under what was 7.17D, the current D, says the marijuana project meets a demonstrated need. They eliminated that one. So I would like to add that in. That would be, we could make these renumbered so that it would be 7.10.71D. The marijuana establishment meets a demonstrated need. And it would be located between what is on C and D in this draft.
So, okay, now wait a minute.
See how it says the RMD or OMD project meets a demonstrated need? They eliminated that one from, it goes from C to D, and that's not there anymore.
Well, what is it that we refresh me, what we were trying to accomplish by meeting a demonstrated need?
Well, that was the medical marijuana, and I think what we were saying was, how many of them would we need?
Do we need 20? What if we're up to
So
5 of
what is
them?
the need?
The need of the community, maybe we
You know,
get to 10 and we've
Sort of like
exhausted the need.
Sort of like a certificate of need for nursing home beds, you know?
So could we just expand upon the language so we're not fumbling over that language down the highway?
Well, that's in the current law.
It's there now. They took it out.
But this
No, I
one-
copied.
Oh,
Well, that's
okay.
subjective because it allows the council the discretion of saying, there is still a need in the community for this, there isn't a need in the community. The burden is on the applicant to show there's a community need for this.
So just to say, is
So
a
hypothetically-
demonstrated need for the city of Holyoke as a whole? Can we just add that kind of, just
For
clarify?
the city?
Is that our intent? Because when
Yeah.
we just say demonstrated need, it just,
For the city?
for the city,
Sure.
is that all right?
Absolutely. It's always
So you're
about the
saying-
city.
So you're making that D and you're gonna change their D to E and their E to F? We're
Correct.
putting our D back as D.
And then the D, so you'll have E and F.
Yeah, I'll second that.
So I make a motion that it says that the marijuana establishment meets a demonstrated need for the city.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then changing the lettering.
Yep, change
D
D and E
back.
to E and F.
I'll second that motion.
From original. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Demonstrated.
Thank you very much for doing that side by side. I had
I'm
not
almost
time to
done.
sit
I'm
there.
still not done yet.
And I just want to make one little, just
For
a comment when he's.
Oh,
Kevin's
sure,
done.
sure.
Yeah, I
Just-
think, let's just take a look here.
Yeah.
Adequate safety, to ensure no individual participant poses a threat, that one's the same. Addresses issues of traffic demand, circulation flow, parking, queuing, particularly at peak Ps. Yep, that one's the same.
And that should be its
Within
impact,
accordance with this,
just to be
yeah.
picky.
Yep, that's it. That's the rest of it. And that was passed on August 5th, 2014, for those historians in the room. So
Oh, the original
the
medical
original one. So
marijuana.
it's 3 years, August 5th, 2000.
514.
How time flies by.
Wow.
3 years, huh? Plus.
I would not have said it was that long
No, I
ago.
wouldn't have said it that long either. Just for discussion, Madam Chair. under-
Counselor Bartley.
Under section 3, which is review procedure, I was just curious if the committee thought, because we've got many departments there, if the committee wanted to add the city council's public safety committee, so if there's something to be reviewed, that the chairperson of that committee could
Sure.
could take it up,
If you want to do that, that's fine.
if he or she wanted to. I'd like to have that option at least, to have the review, if the chair.
You can add them to the list.
Well, I would like to, just for consideration, if the committee thought it made sense to add the Public Safety Committee of the City Council to that list.
Almost everything you say makes sense. So I'm sure.
Okay.
That's a motion?
So I'll make that motion if it,
So I'll second it.
All right?
Just the question, are
So
you,
I'm adding it, I'm taking out, so I'm, as the list runs, Planning Board and the Stormwater Authority, comma, Conservation Commission, and Public Safety Committee of the City Council,
That's right.
are we?
if applicable. So that would leave it open.
Sure.
Sounds good?
Yeah, it's a good idea. I just, thinking that if we get a complaint, or are we gonna renew this every year, the special permit?
Usually they're once given, it's good for that owner,
owner.
non-transferable. though.
Comparable, but I mean, let's say, for example, if we get a complaint, it will go to that committee. That's basically what you're saying, or you just wanna review?
He's saying for
Just
the
the
review
application will be
The
procedure.
application, okay.
The application.
To take some of the work off of ordinance on the front
yeah,
end.
that's fine.
In one regard,
But you're
but to
right,
get
though. If
another
there is a
perspective
complaint,
on it
yes.
in another regard.
Somebody's not
I'd like-
following
I'd like to-
one of
I'd
the
like to see that,
conditions.
yes.
So you have
I
more
think that's
eyes
gonna
on
be,
it.
That's right.
I think that we need to clarify that. That's what I'm trying to say.
Should we put in a provision that says, the city council can put conditions on any permit to mitigate any
Complaints?
concerns or potential adverse impacts?
Yes.
Well, how about
Related to
this?
us.
Can the city council reopen a public hearing? Could the city, maybe throw that in as a possible provision?
Revoke a permit,
Why not?
yeah.
Well,
Well, the
maybe-
violations are here. It says, we'd have to read what section 9.1 of the zoning says, but
Well, I think that, in my opinion, you should keep it very straightforward, that the city council have the power to open and or make amendment to the special permit anytime you want to. I think that we need that power.
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, I don't know how you want to write it, but I think that that's the key. That's why, that's why I was thinking that when you want to refer it to committee, but we need to let them know ahead of time that we have the final say. We can open it, make changes, amend it, and then, because you never know what the heck you're going to face. I mean, this is
Yeah,
something new.
because Madam Chair?
Council Bartley.
Because I like that thought a lot. The feedback I'm getting is that, well, why can't it just be like a liquor store? Well, I'll tell you why, because liquor stores have been around for, alcohol's been legal for, 100 years, so, and around forever. And this is a new horizon. And then the argument they're gonna be.
Plus,
well,
alcohol's legal federally, too.
And thank you, Mr. President. And then furthermore, to Councilor Lopez's point, the proponents are gonna argue, well, what about imposing restrictions? You're imposing restrictions on the free market and on the market built.
Well,
No,
there's
no,
certain people
No,
putting.
we're not. No, we're not. This is called the police power that we're given by virtue of our office to protect the public, to help to protect the public. That's all that is. So,
And in support of your comment, I'm hearing feedback that unlike with alcohol, where you can have a person blow in the thing or do a test, it is very difficult to ascertain if somebody in the commission of some infraction is high on pot, and what's a little high, and what's a lot high, and what's impaired high.
well, now we're finding out those chemical tests are nothing but a fraud anyhow. So even for,
So I'm just saying,
so the.
it's gonna be a
the-
difficult,
The mechanics are ridiculous.
it's
at
gonna
this
be a
point.
difficult
They're
thing
non-existent.
to enforce
Yeah.
at all. So I do think there has to be some, but anyway, to review 9-1 on the enforcement. So the building commissioner shall be the officer responsible for interpreting and enforcing the provisions of this ordinance, and may delegate his powers and duties to assistants as necessary. The police department and the city solicitor shall assist the building commissioner in such enforcement where necessary and appropriate.
So we need to add another enforcement clause that says, the city council may also
Yeah.
revoke, or add any may,
So notwithstanding,
notwithstanding, section 9.1 of the zoning ordinances.
I think that's a great motion there.
The city council may revoke, I'll change that to, may amend
Yep.
or revoke any special permit granted under this ordinance. For a violation of this section or any condition of
Violation of the ordinance?
violation of this, violation of the ordinances of the city of Holyoke.
Thank you.
Violation of the ordinances, we'll make it more general,
Yeah, because if you say
Ordinances
section, then they'll
of
just say
city-
enforcing.
City ordinances.
of, yeah, city ordinances,
I think that's a really
or
important
any,
amendment.
or any condition of, or a
Of the special
condition,
permit.
or a condition of the special permit. And I can type that up,
All right.
cleaner.
But I think this is important because look at all the unintended consequences out west where they now have more retail pot shops than Dunkin' Donuts. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I'll take the Dunkin' Donuts.
Right. So I'd like to make amendment to add that provision.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'd like to add under 7.17, under findings, I would like to add a section 2 that says, the city council may add any necessary condition, any condition it
As
deems,
circumstances,
it deems, any condition it deems necessary to protect the citizens.
if unforeseen,
No, just, the city council may add any condition it deems necessary to protect the city from any potential adverse impact.
because we really don't know.
Very general, but very specific at the same time, in that it, we can mitigate any potential adverse impact, if that means hours, if that means parking locations, if that means whatever. We can add, may add any condition necessary to do that.
So that's a motion.
Yep.
Now,
Do we have a second?
Second.
just on discussion.
Yes,
Can
Councilor
we,
Bartley?
can we, which I'm going to support this motion clearly, but I just want to, at what time can we trigger this? So so hypothetically, the party's been issued a special permit.
You come in, we grant it with, now this will say we can add all these conditions.
Right, and he's saying like, when would that happen? What
Immediately.
would
When would-
cause it to happen?
When you come in, we say, we're gonna grant you this permit, but here's the list of 5 conditions.
Right, but-
Bang, out the door. Now, you screw up on that, we can, in one of the mechanisms for enforcement would be, we can amend or we can revoke that.
So just thinking along those lines, if something unforeseen happens, so something's going to happen, Mr. President, that we don't.
Oh, sure.
It's going to happen. Will that language allow city councils, future city councils, to go ahead and
Change the conditions.
reel this
Reopen
person,
the-
that, company ABC, come back in, we're now adding this condition.
That's the goal.
That's the enforcement one we just voted the last vote,
Okay,
because
so I
that
just-
says, notwithstanding, the city may amend or revoke any special permit granted under this ordinance for a violation of city ordinances or a condition of any special permit.
And that's amend or revoke.
So what I want to just say to our friend Ryan, who's taking copious notes on this, and when he does.
But now,
because
one
what-
could argue, can we only amend because of a violation, or do we think we want to put in a provision that says unforeseen circumstances, we could add a condition.
Which is what we're talking
Sure,
about.
if we want to spell it out, because what I was about to say is,
Okay.
it's because we don't have a legislative history, and there's no way any written document or is going to cover every single base. It's just not possible.
Correct.
But if we have in our minutes of 11/2/17 that we approve, that says, you know, why are we doing this? Well, because there's things that are going to come up that we can't possibly
Sure.
foresee.
Right.
So we need to have a mechanism in the ordinance to
allow
protect
us
this.
to deal with that.
That's
So-
why we're doing this.
Right, so right now, what I
You
have.
can't write
So
that
we
into
should add that to the
ordinance.
enforcement provision, maybe. We
What I
should,
have is that the city council may add any conditions it deems necessary to protect the city from any potential adverse impacts. So move
and
that
then, so we
under
could,
enforcement number 2?
well, no, actually, let's stay with that
You're
sentence.
leaving it,
In the event that an adverse impact is not known at the time of the granting of the application, the city council shall have the authority to amend the conditions of the permit at a future time to address any previously unforeseen circumstances.
And this would be the existing permit or a prospective permit?
an existing one.
An existing permit.
An existing, okay, an existing permit, okay, great.
Yep.
That's,
So you've
that's
added,
what I wanted.
you've added
so
a
they know when they walk in the
preamble to
door.
number 2.
So I've added a clause that basically says, the city council can add conditions it deems necessary to protect the citizens, and, well, we could call it 3. Why don't we make it 3 for housekeeping's sake? And then the city council may add or amend any condition to a existing special permit in the event of, to mitigate any unforeseen circumstance that may arise at a later date,
May arise,
that may arise.
period.
That's not redundant to 2?
No, because one is when you're granting it, the other is for 2 years later, you find out something crazy's happened and you want to add on a new condition.
It's going to happen.
That permit is already out the door.
But
So
doesn't number 2 say may add a condition?
that's to an application.
Under, okay,
3 is going to be for already granted ones.
did we say that? Existing.
Existing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
So
Does
we'll take a
anybody
vote on
have
that.
anything? So we have in front of us the amendment to section 7.10.7, number 2, that the city council may add any conditions it deems necessary to protect the city from any potential adverse impacts.
Maybe we should take 3 and put it under enforcement, because that sort of speaks to already existing permits. That's okay.
All right, but, so we're on 2, any potential adverse impacts
So I'd like to make
on
a,
a condition of the special permit. That's staying under
that,
7.10.7.
correct, because that's under findings, yep,
So we have that motion before us, and that was already seconded?
yep.
All in favor?
Aye. And then what would have been a 3, I'd like to put it under 7.108.
So do you want to make that as a motion?
Yeah, so we should have,
We'll have 1
we should have 1,
and 2.
1, 2, and then 3, because 1 is the current sentence. Then we should also have notwithstanding 9.1,
You're going to call that 2?
2, it should, the one that we already passed, which is the
Yep.
city may amend
I
or
made it
revoke any
a
special permit.
additional sentence, but now we're going to make it number 2.
And then that'll be, so that's 2, and then 3 will be further notwithstanding section 9.1. The city council may amend or add a condition to any existing special permit to mitigate any adverse impact to the city.
unforeseen. You don't want that, or just
Well, I don't know, was it foreseeable or was it non-foreseeable?
just any adverse
Any adverse.
circumstance, or
Any later discovered
that may arise?
that may arise.
So circumstance or
Adverse condition.
condition?
That works.
Okay, so that is, so under 7.10.8 enforcement, we now have changed the sentence in the proposed draft from the planning staff to 1 that talks about section 9-1 of the zoning ordinance.
Yep.
Then we've added a number 2, the notwithstanding language that we can amend or revoke any special permit for a violation of the ordinance or a condition of the special permit. And then 3, that the city council may add or amend any condition to an existing special permit to mitigate any adverse condition that may arise.
Correct.
So that motion you've made.
Yep.
Is it seconded?
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye. Well, that was a great job.
Wow. Good. I didn't necessarily think we'd get this far, but this is good.
Really good, yeah.
So-
I just wanted to share something with you and help me out with this. If I'm the applicant, I got the permit, and my opinion is that we need to be very specific. Like, for example, if we're gonna open the special permit again, so should we put down that we should contact, or we should do it by certified letter or something that they know that it will be
Oh,
specific?
the notice?
The notice.
A
yeah.
notice.
Yeah, because I think that we will, they can say, I never got anything in the mail, and then we will be screwed. I don't know where you want to put
So
that in.
special permit holders will be noticed of any,
Any violation, or any public hearing, or any meeting of the city council.
Okay.
I don't know how we want to put that in.
Well, is that elsewhere covered? I mean, do we have that?
I don't know if I want to create a notice rule for us, though. I mean, we should give them notice, I
But
agree
anyway,
there.
we should do it by certified mail. I mean, just to make sure that they show up.
Yeah.
That we don't waste our time. I mean,
Well,
if we're here, I don't know. if we're
But
gonna
it wouldn't be
here.
wasting our time. Think about it this way. They would want to come, because if we take an action and they don't show up, we can still take our action. They're the
issue
ones that
is-
would be sort of benefiting from a notice. The only thing I get nervous about notice provisions is you somehow create a notice rule and you don't, you
Yeah.
break it.
No, you're right.
And then, oh, well, you brought it to his house, you didn't send it by certified mail, and then now they got a way of circumventing what you did. I think we just,
Leave it the way it is.
I think so, only because they'll show up.
Well, I think the intention is excellent, but if we put a stumbling block, we'll trip over
will
it.
stumble.
Exactly.
We will trip over it.
I do just want to be clear.
You are correct, though.
And we already know on record,
Yes.
thanks to the president and thanks to the city clerk, the amount of cash that's now flowing through, and this,
Yeah.
we haven't even opened the doors yet. So the amount of cash that they have
Oh,
at their
right.
disposal, so never mind, just to give out whatever.
We certainly know they know how to work the US mail system.
Well, I know, and the
Because there's
thi-
plenty of checks going through it.
Well,
And to pay for attorneys at that
Yes.
stage?
Yeah.
No, come on. Well, let's not trip ourselves up.
Yeah.
and the thing is, the people who are so opposed to the corporate government complex.
Oh, dear Lord.
It's just stunning.
Citizens United, how many times do we have to hear people rail against Citizens United and the influence of corporate money while they're loading bags of cash
I guess all you
into
have
their
to do is
campaigns?
call yourself a progressive company. Then you're okay.
Yeah,
I just wanted to be clear on a technical matter that when I was reading from the zoning thing under enforcement,
Yep.
I read the general, I didn't read each section
that's fine.
into the,
We're
Discussion.
referring to the whole thing.
all right?
All right, I think we've exhausted 1 and 2.
Yeah. I think, so we need a final motion to send the amended draft
To the law
to the
department.
law department to give legal form to us for the 14th.
Yes, I make that motion to do exactly that, Madam Chair.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. So that's unanimous. So I'm gonna note on here, send to legal as amended for legal form for November 14th meeting. Excellent. Okay. let me
All right, so we're up to item
dig out
3.
my Agenda.
3 is still a tabler, right?
You don't have anything, right? We never got
Hang on
that.
a second.
Unless we just pass an ordinance to do it anyways.
We have not. They're just ignoring the request. Leave it on the table. We don't even have to take it up.
For this meeting,
We'll
but
just leave it
but
sit.
for now, we got enough sticks in the fire, but I would say we could just pass an ordinance that says they shall have a color-coded system.
Well, we
And then
can,
they'll
we can
just-
send it to the legal department to get a draft, and then we can see what happened.
I'm fine with that.
What is the
Well,
will
what
of
was-
the
I didn't
committee?
hear Councilor Lopez's suggestion. Could you just repeat that?
On item 3.
On item
What? No,
3,
we're-
well, if we're going to take it up, I guess I should read it.
Yeah, you should.
So is there a
Motion to remove item 3 from the table.
second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item 3, filed by Counselor Leahy, that the city of Holyoke creates an ordinance that requires a group or business that hands out or exchanges needles to be required to have the needles marked with a specific color. This will help our Board of Health and Police Department identify where the needle originated from.
So my motion is that we send it to the legal department and get a draft back to this committee.
Yeah. That basically anybody operating a needle exchange program shall use a single-colored cap system.
Or hub, or whatever they.
Yeah, a single color coded system to, for the purposes of public safety. And I'd ask them to put it into a draft, and then we'll debate it at the next meeting.
Legal for November 14th meeting. Counselor Bartley, did you,
All set.
oh. So you made the motion?
So Ustado made the motion,
Diosdado
I
made the
seconded.
motion, second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye. Okay.
Motion, take up item 4.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item 4, filed by Counselor Lopez, that the ordinance committee create an ordinance for the Adopt an Island median program with the following intersections in the city, near 391 and Main Street, Whiting Farms by Kmart, entrance to the mall, Hamden and Northampton Street, Dwight Street and Northampton Street, Beach and Northampton Street, and others. Also, that a $200 fine for trespassing, leaning against any city signposts, or hanging anything to the signs, plus a no litter sign, be erected at all intersections. The program will be run or managed by the DPW with enforcement from the police. Now, Diosdado did forward us a sample ordinance from South Hadley. We got it on email.
I didn't send it to Barley or Lisi.
You know, and I printed it
will.
out, but I think I
I-
have it at home. I just,
Print it.
I don't think I got it into my folder. But we can talk about what the guts of it were, and we can
Yeah.
give the draft to Crystal to give us a draft back. It's straightforward.
And I would like to.
Do you wanna just-
Yeah, and I would like to give a copy to Barley and Rebecca, even though she's not here, but I think it would be a good idea for them to see a copy.
Right, and we can, I can forward that right now, because it's
Okay, good.
on,
I send it by,
Messenger, right?
Yeah. Basically, David, what that is, I would like to see a better organized Adopt the Island program in the city, where whoever's gonna take on an island is gonna be responsible for the upkeep of the island, make sure that we do water, and we do take care of the island, and also that we have clear expectation of whoever is gonna do it. And then, if we're able to get different groups in the city to take the islands, I think that would be ideal, and and do it that way. And because the way the program is now, there's completely disorganized, and we don't even know what's going on. And I will be more than happy to. I know I don't have the copies, but it's
But we're
very
looking at it right
straightforward.
now.
Yeah,
We all
it's,
have it.
Yeah.
We're looking at it on,
And we need to come out with an application, which there's one there also, and so.
so, Dia, what do you think about the idea of starting out with X number like they did in
Yes.
South Hadley?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how many there are now, theoretically. I mean, I know where a couple of them are, or maybe 3 or 4.
Yeah, yeah.
Is
no.
this adding to it, or?
Well, we can, I mean, the way, we can start with the list here and see if we get more. I'm pretty sure there will be more people asking if we get it well organized. I think that's gonna be the key. I mean, if we're not able to get this organized, I mean, the city, the towns, how Hadley, they even have a west side, everything is,
Right, and it's not that hard to do.
No.
But they run it in South Hadley through the Department of Public Works, which is how it was run here when they were going around putting out the mulch and stuff. But is that just stopped?
We don't have the resources. That's what I was told.
I thought I saw piles
No,
of mulch.
I'll comment if you, I mean.
Counselor
I mean, I
Bartley.
just from practical experience, first, if you go on to holyoke.org, there is something about Adopt an Island
I
program.
sent
There is a
that
link on there to it. I confess I've never clicked on it, but I've seen the link. From practical experience, I've been working with, doing this for 6 summers, so, and now I'm over at Kmart Plaza, one of the traffic islands, and they dropped the mulch, and I believe they put water on my plants.
Because I thought I saw a pile of mulch.
But,
maybe do.
oh, they absolutely do that.
Okay.
There's no question. But is there, besides me caring for it and picking up everything and the glass and the cigarette butts and shooing away people who are stomping on my flowers when I can, that's it.
Yeah, the way I would like to see it is I mean, for some of the people that are trespassing on some of the island, that we will be able to enforce it through the police with a fine, and make sure that we will be able to, if we make them in a way that nobody will be able to walk or stand, it will take care of another issue, and that's what I'm hoping that we'll be able to do. I mean, I have to, and at this point, I'm not able to demonstrate how that will work, but I think that hopefully during the spring, if I'm able to do the one down on Main Street, and we can use that as an example. I mean, we can wait. I mean, we don't have to do this tonight, but I mean, we can wait and make sure that we get it done.
Well,
So I don't know.
Can we just put no loitering signs on the traffic islands? Is that a violation of,
at,
is that a violation of something, the First Amendment?
at my ward meeting, somebody said
Yeah.
it should be no standing in any median. And they said, well, make it, if it's less than 5 feet wide, nobody can stand there.
Well, just no loitering. We have no loitering ordinances. I think they stood this
Yeah.
test of time.
Yeah.
No
Well, I
lo-
guess if you're asking for money, you're exerting your freedom of speech.
Well,
This is the circular argument we keep getting.
yeah, I just,
But when I go down toward the Yankee Peddler, and you know where the concrete planters are, that have 4 different ones on the median there, I never see anybody standing there,
I've seen people standing there.
have they?
Yeah, they
Oh,
don't
yes.
walk.
Oh,
It's
yes.
just been the time I've been
Oh,
going.
yes. I can assure you.
Yeah, okay.
So either we can table or send it to the legal department and see if we can get a draft, or I can go back and see if I can put it together and get it to the committee. I
So-
haven't been able to do that.
Dave, do you, in the one that you do, did you fill out an application, or was it just,
Negative.
so it's just, I'd
I-
like to do this and then it's yours?
I
Which,
volunteered,
yeah,
And I selected and they weren't being cared for, and I suggested they were public traffic islands. And at first, the first couple of years, it was run by Ty and Bond,
Yeah, they
and then it shifted over to the mayor's office. There's a person in the mayor's office that handles this. I don't recall the person's name, but
I went to the west side of the city and I sent it to you too, but I mean, it's basically the DPW.
well, there's a person in the mayor's office that sort of says, I'll just use my name, David Bartley is going to be the traffic island person for, and then they put up a little sign, Counselor Bartley, and
Yes,
put it in the
yeah.
ground, they throw the mulch in, and they drop the mulch.
But it's DPW that's
It's
doing it.
Well, DPW
right?
drops the mulch, and otherwise they leave it to your imagination to
Right.
plant
Yeah.
whatever you're going to plant. So I just
Right,
plant
and then
flowers
there was the thought that, for example, if you're coming down by the Strums Plaza there's some pretty tall grasses and stuff that got planted. And sometimes it's hard to see when there's the cars coming down the thing. And so it's pretty and everything,
But
but it's like, maybe if we had a little bit more of a process, people would be thinking, I mean, they're thinking it's pretty, and I mean, and it is, but sometimes if things are 3 feet high,
well, you have to prune.
it's
It's not exactly a-
the grasses, some of those grasses start out like this, and then they, you know.
I
Go
think
crazy.
if we take the one from South Hadley and put it in a format that people will be able to follow as a guideline, I think people will follow it, especially if you have different groups like David or another person. It will be like a guideline, but it will be an ordinance that we will be able to,
And it would make
follow.
it a program.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what's happened, like, you're good and you keep yours up, some people have it, and then maybe they decided not to do it, but there's no system that says, are you doing it or aren't you doing it from year to year? So if they decided not to do it, it's just a mess. You know, so if this way, every year, something went out and said, do you want to do it? Then it might stay nicer.
Well, you also saw what happened this summer where we had an order filed on our agenda. That's that area you just mentioned on Cherry Street between Hillside and Northampton. There's got to be 10 buckets there. Well, first of all, the buckets weren't maintained as well as they could have been, but there's also grass growing in the median. So we had a counselor file an order. Can you please cut all the grass?
I know,
Well, why don't you walk over there and clean up your area?
right,
Instead of having, that's the point, you're volunteering with this, just make the extra effort.
right, and if you're not, well, take your sign down,
Well, then-
let somebody else do
Let
it.
somebody else do it. It's not- If
But
if you don't have the time,
But then if each year it went out and you sign up, then you're signing up.
so you have an affirmative duty to,
Yeah,
Absolutely, that's
Yeah.
what I'm looking for.
so is it the will of the body that we forward the South Hadley draft and ask it to come back to us?
how's it working in South Hadley? I mean, is it,
It's under the DPW, and the one that you see on the west side, I went to see one, it's beautiful. I mean, I didn't check all the different islands, I only saw one.
did you speak to somebody in South Hadley? That's my question. No, okay.
No, I did not. They only have like probably 8 on that west side, but I didn't go through every
Well,
single
listen,
one.
if it's gonna help
Well,
beautify
at
the
least it will
city,
be a
then
guideline.
I'll give it, I mean, I take care of mine, but whatever, it's just, those steps are what I do anyhow, so if you think it'll help, and whatever, well,
I think so. I think the way we're going now is, like, for example, you see people that are walking away.
Right, sort of like
It's, so,
on the other, and we could, you know how we do the most beautiful house at a certain holiday? We could do a thing,
yeah.
the most beautiful adopted
oh
island.
boy, that'll get competitive, I like that. And then the prize would be
And then we can do-
a $25 gift card to the charity of your choice.
And we can do the most beautiful one, and we can do the least beautiful
And I
one.
don't mean the Kevin Jordan Retirement Fund, I mean a public
There you go.
501c3 charity.
You know, we could go both ways with that. So, I don't see anything wrong with forwarding this over and asking her. It's simple, it's not a complex thing.
No, I would like to make that motion that we forward the one from South Hadley to the city solicitor.
And create a legal form to set up a formal program.
Yes.
Second.
All in favor?
I-
Kevin's writing a new ordinance.
Yes.
Okay, so, and we want it to be DPW?
Yeah, because I mean, I don't know who else. I mean, there's
Yeah,
nobody.
I mean, you have to have one
Yes.
point. If there get to be 2 or 3 points,
Yeah,
then,
no, let's go.
all right. Send to legal. South Hadley example. To create legal form. Should we say by end, I mean, this isn't a rush.
No, we have time.
By end of November?
Yeah.
And we don't need it,
Because the Adopt Island program will terminate this month.
exactly. This is to get things ready for the spring. And so I don't, there's no point in putting a lot of pressure, I don't think. NDO, you'll send that over to,
Yeah, I would send
Crystal?
it to Crystal.
all right. So on the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Kev?
Yes,
Kevin is writing it.
sorry, I'm just doing something else.
Okay,
Getting ready for the next item.
we're up to you now.
Yeah.
Motion to take 5 off the table.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Item 5, filed by Counselor Jordan, ordered that the city council create and adopt a new comprehensive ethics ordinance. Now, at our last meeting, we had gone through a couple of points in it. Tonight, we have the draft, and there was also a copy left of the procurement ordinance as it currently exists. I don't know if it's merged into the other one. I don't know if Crystal merged it into here or not.
She made it that there's any violation of 2-335 will constitute a violation of this section.
She referenced it?
Yes.
Okay. So we have both of those documents before us. At the last meeting, I think we had set a threshold of $40,000. Where's my old copy? For contracts?
Yeah, I'd like to expand on 2-335.
All right, I'll leave, Counselor
Want me to
Jordan, this is yours, your order, so we can walk through it however you
Okay.
wish.
All right, so just cutting to the chase.
Are we-
Taking a peek at, okay, you want me to start from the top?
Well, what are we looking at?
First of all, you're looking at the proposed
That's on the table
ethics
tonight?
ordinance, yep, that's in
Okay.
red line, that one there,
Okay.
exactly.
Okay.
And first piece of all of this is, let me get, is a purpose, and then we're a definition section, and then we get up to some stuff that starts getting meaty at 2.684.
Can I ask a question that was raised?
Sure.
Just playing devil's advocate a little bit. And somebody made this point, and I don't know if it's correct or incorrect, that there's certain state laws that govern this.
268A is involved, yes. Nothing
So-
we can do here can conflict with that.
Okay.
But we can
And,
supersede it, can we not?
We can make it more restrictive, we just can't make it less restrictive.
That's what I meant.
okay,
Thank you.
so that was the point that was made at a meeting that I held, and I said, I know that there are some laws where you cannot do that, some of the fire laws. You can't make it more strict locally. I said, but I believe with any number of other state laws, we can make it more strict, but we can't make it
Well,
less
to your point,
strict.
Madam Chair, we did that, in fact, last year through several of the orders I filed relative to 30B. And then ultimately.
Exactly right.
And then ultimately, we didn't get all of them, but we came up with this really good idea that the president proposed when we were talking about towing, and that's how we got into the,
Right, and this person was questioning whether we could even enforce that. And I said, well, the issue that we have is that we are creating laws, but they need to be enforced.
And we need to speak to that, yeah.
Right, and this person was questioning whether they could be because they were stricter than the state law. So I just wanted to raise it up just to sort of have it asked and answered.
Sure, yeah.
In
and
discussion.
Yeah, the procurement law of the city is, more restrictive than the state law, as a general rule,
But that's okay.
but that's okay. And the ethics ordinance, and the ethics law, many cities have well, let me give you an example. I took much of what we have here was from Framingham, they have an ethics ordinance. Many communities don't have ethics ordinances. Some have ethics ordinances. It's almost like residency rules too. Boston has one, Springfield has one, Worcester has one. You're not required to have one, but if you want one, you can do that under your power. You just can't do anything that preempts state law. You couldn't say, well, you can do it in Holyoke even though the state says you can't do it. This is one of those things where you can be more restrictive.
I just wanted to clarify.
No,
that.
that's an important point, and happy to do that. And I think the events of the last week show why we need
Absolutely.
further restrictions. It's basically proving my point and those of others in the room. So I wanted to dive into two things, and it relates to 2.684. Number one, this current draft says any violation of 2-335 shall constitute a violation. 2-335, as we recall, is people who have exempt contracts for the city of Holyoke. Those people are in violation. There's provisions that speak to that. And then, so that would be our towing folks. The next up, I would like to expand it to say, no municipal official, which is defined in the definition section, shall accept a political contribution. Political contribution is defined in the definitions there.
Now, where does it say, except, this says shall make? Where,
I'm adding to 2.684.
Now.
This should be worded as 5. She's got it misnumbered, by the way.
okay. And so where is except? Are you adding that now?
I am adding, there's one clause in the current 2.684 here, and I want to add 2 more clauses to that.
Okay, one's just.
Any
and I don't mean
violation.
just is referring to the exempt contracts that we have existing. in
Correct,
procurement.
which I would like to label 2.6841, and then I would like to make it 2.6842,
Okay,
which says, no municipal official shall accept a political contribution from any person or business.
business principal,
Or city contractor.
because you can't take a corporate donation anyway.
Well, business is defined in here as more than just corporations.
Yeah.
By the way, other things other than corporations, some of them can, like sole proprietorships and
Yeah.
partnerships can give.
Yeah,
So, just so we're clear, so
Yeah.
we're using the terms a business,
okay. Any
A-
person or business,
right? Or, what was the other term I had on here? Or city contractor. Holding any city contract with an annual value of greater than $40,000
yeah, I
per
had a
year.
note to that effect. Draft.
And that number could be changed, but that was the starting point, was $40,000.
So that's 2.68.
42. Now, 2.6843, I would like to propose to you that says, no municipal official shall take, hold on 1 second, please. No municipal official shall accept a political contribution from any person or business or applicant Has any business before the city council either while that matter is pending or for a period of 1 year after? 2 years.
Yeah, because election is coming, so.
Okay, with it 2 years. That's a good idea.
Yeah. And
Problem is, well, how much before that is the other thing is.
You can't know.
or 2 years prior to an election.
Well, I'm thinking if you, after the date of them filing anything, or, or debating any or deliberating on any matter that's pending before the city council that could have an effect on the person or business who's made the political contribution. We're gonna have to work out the wording on
You
that.
can really get into the weeds with this because
Well, what we have here now is,
medical marijuana, people come in and say, well, we were here for medical, we don't want to do recreational. So we're giving all our money to these people, and then lo and behold, oh yeah, we want to do recreational.
well, it's actually worse than that.
You know.
What we have is a situation where we have people taking donations while we're passing
Oh, it's
laws that
Sitting in
regulate
committee.
those industries. So
Right.
what we have to do is say,
Closing it, that's the, and not disclosing it, Mr. President, sorry.
Well, that's
But
the-
that's the unbelievable part.
that is correct, and I think you will find, the State Ethics Commission has an opinion about people who take donations from people with pending matters before the city council without completing a appearance of disclosure form. And I have asked, and I made the statement too,
You filed an order on
to
it.
do that, everybody disclose. After the council passed that, a very limited number of people, disclosed,
Oh, some
but
did? I didn't know any did.
some people did.
Oh, okay.
But none of the people who were the recipients of cash disclosed.
Oh,
So there were 5 members of the city council who received cash contributions from GTI, and none of those individuals completed the disclosure
GTI executives.
from GTI executives. And it seemed like there was about the same 5 names going around. Now, granted, the council did pass that as a voluntary disclosure, but those people all elected not to disclose. I find that interesting. I also find it interesting that they'll also be aware that they're required to file an appearance form, an appearance of conflict of interest when, for example, someone receives $4,500 on July 19th and then takes a vote on August 1st to lead the charge in favor of the mayor, and lead the charge in opposing the granting of a temporary moratorium. That counselor should have filed an appearance of a conflict of interest form. No question, in my
Right,
opinion.
because she was in
And
favor of the moratorium.
Well, yes,
before.
and she had just received 2 weeks earlier $4,500 in contributions. There's no question.
And she's the vice chair of this committee, which is even worse.
And
I've
so
already
that,
said
the purpose of those disclosure forms is to put everybody on notice that, you could have an appearance of a conflict of interest, and moreover, that it's at least made aware, and you're supposed to fill out that says, even though notwithstanding my appearance, I am not conflicted and I can be independent. And that's for all the public to judge. So, you know, that individual, in my opinion, did not follow the spirit of that law, and is sitting here debating in opposition to the passing of an ordinance which directly is affected by someone who's giving her campaign contributions. And for that matter, there were other people who received donations. I didn't recall the dates off the top of my head this evening for those other individuals who received large sums. But that particular person who received the most, those dates are quite embedded in my brain. So that, I think, is really unfortunate because, you know, I think that's a conflict, quite frankly, I do. And, you know, I think that's why we have these appearance forms. I know that was the advice I received from the Ethics Commission when I had received a donation, which in fact I turned around and returned to an applicant for a special permit to put in his car dealership in town. All right, Gary Rome.
That was the
Gary
zone
Rome,
change,
the zone
right?
change, right? So I returned that donation, which was $250,
And I returned 500.
back to him.
Was that the same time?
But I still filled out the disclosure. So, you know, my point is, you know, these rules are important. These rules are for basic public integrity. And, you know, I'm sitting here, how am I going to persuade, you know, or at least have the appearance of persuading people in a conversation? You know, I believe everybody comes into this with the best of intentions, but I will say this. No matter how eloquent or persuasive I can be, it certainly does lead one to believe it's very hard to be more persuasive than $4,500. Okay? No words I think that are going to come out of my mouth are more persuasive than to some than $4,500 to their
Right,
campaign.
and to my way of thinking, it's very timely, and I think more important than ever that we pass something like this. But it has to be enforced, and it has to have some enforcement capacity in it.
Well,
Or
I
I'm
think,
afraid it'll just become more pages.
so I think what we need to do for an enforcement is, let's cut to the chase on that. Let's get up to 2 points.
Do you want to deal with these additions
Yeah.
first?
So I-
Okay, so before us, we're taking 2.68.4, changing it to 2.68.41. And we know that 2-35 refers to exempt contracts.
Yep.
Then we're adding 2.68.42, no municipal officials shall accept a political contribution from any person or business or city contractor holding any city contract with annual value of $40,000
$40,000 or more per year.
or more per year. Adding item 2.68.43, no municipal official shall accept a political contribution from any person or business or applicant who has any business before the city council while the matter is pending or for 2 years thereafter. Now, do we say any business or do we say any?
Person, business, or,
No.
business is defined, or
Right.
applicant.
Who has any business before the city council?
Yeah. Or, could be affected by any legislation pending before the city council. Or be deliberated by the city council.
Who could be affected by any business before the city council while the matter
Any
is
ordinance being,
pending.
or any, could be affected by, materially affected, let's just say that.
Contribution from any person or business or applicant who could be materially affected by any business before the city council while the matter is pending or for 2 years thereafter. Because, I mean, really talking zoning, special permit,
Exactly.
I mean, those are really the major ones.
Those are the two biggest ones, yeah.
So that's the language that we have before
And
us.
yeah, we'll
For the
take-
moment.
For the moment, and we can always refine that on the 14th some more,
But
but
do
let's
you-
get this in the paper, yes.
So
I'd like
is
to
that a
make that.
motion?
That is a motion.
And do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All right.
So the next thing I wanted to mention was, prohibited acts of city councilors. Now, I had put in a section that said, city councilors shall not hold any form of employment with the city except as a special municipal employee. The law department took that out and came up with some new language, which said, while a city councilor may be employed by the city, no such councilor may vote or act on any matter within its purview of the agency with which he is employed or has official responsibilities. I kind of liked a flat bar to employment.
Here's the thing, theoretically, let's play it out. So theoretically, and I'm just making this
Yeah,
up
just
to make a
theoretically.
point.
Yeah,
4 members of some department, leave the name unnamed,
yes,
run and get elected to city council.
yes.
You have a city council of 13. That could almost, if there was one more person that did that, it would make it impossible for the city council to have a 2/3 vote to pass an ordinance or a zoning change, because they would all be unable to vote, because they'd be conflicted. Potentially.
Yes, unless what happens is you get into what's called the rule of necessity. That actually happens more often than you think on particularly school committees.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised how many people that are school committee members in the state also have relatives that work in the departments that they supervise or are materially conflicted, so they have to abstain from certain votes.
Yeah.
And what happens is when you get to a point where you fail to now have a quorum that can vote, they have what's called a rule of necessity, and now all of you are allowed to vote again. That's how you get around that. Yeah,
Sort of
it does.
what's the point?
It does exist. On the other
I think it's
hand,
cleaner the other way.
I kind of like it where you're just a flat bar.
Yeah.
We've only once, to my knowledge, had a city employee serve
Don
on the
Rose.
city council. Yes, Don. We all like, but
Mm-hmm.
again, I had expressed my displeasure with that situation. I don't feel it's enough of a separation that, well, I just don't vote on things that affect me. Yeah, it doesn't work that way, because first of all, your non-participation actually counts as a no vote.
Exactly.
So that actually is a vote. And you're having an impact on the matter. Number 2 is there's other ways that they can do things that are beneficial besides the thing like you don't take the 2 salaries. So what happens is, for example, and I'm not saying this ever happened, but this could happen. You want to be police officer and you want to be city councilor. They say, well, like Don, he was not able to accept the $10,000 salary that we receive. So Don got his regular police salary. However, what if because of your position and your ability to have influence in the government, they could just say, well, let's give Don a little extra overtime, and I don't want to use Don's name because I'm not saying in any way Don ever did this, but person X, we'll give them extra overtime, or we'll give them preferential treatment, or we'll do this and this and that to kind of makes up for the 10 grand they're losing. I don't like to put that situation. I like the rule which says flat out, no city employees on the city council, period, except special municipal employees. And those, by the way, have to be approved by a special vote of the city council in order to get that. And you got to meet all these different criteria. Like, for example, myself, I qualified as a special employee because I had to get permissions from everybody, including the city council, so I could go collect $30 a game as a football announcer for 4 or 5 home games. So, what does that amount to? $150, $200 a year. But the point is, like, we've done special municipal employees for, like, the tax collector.
Right, but he was
Different
already
people.
can I just jump in a
Sure.
second? Because he was already a full-time employee. So are you opening the door if you say, except if you're a special employee, and now the full-time employee is also a special employee?
No, what I'm saying is,
Because I
To
like
be-
your thing of no employee.
To be special employee has a special designation. You can't be, you can only work a limited number of hours. It can't be at the same time you're working your regular job.
Right.
There's all these specific rules. You can't make over a certain amount of money.
Right.
There's a lot of these different things. You couldn't be special municipal employee, and that would qualify you as the exemption to go work full-time at the police station or firefighter.
No, but, Council Bartley?
Just one, is that constitutional?
What?
Can we just bar somebody from running for office because they happen to work for the city of Holyoke?
Well, quite frankly, that used to be the rule here forever. It's that, I would argue that's already in the charter. There's a charter provision in the Holyoke City Charter which reads specifically, you shall hold no other office, period. Have a nice day. That's already in the Holyoke Charter. For somehow, we got away from that, kind of like
Sort of like our
residency rule,
rule
or
that
a lot of the other things. There's also other rules, but the point is, yes, I think that is an enforceable rule.
Well, then we shouldn't be creating a law that conflicts with the charter.
I agree.
So let's cross this out.
Yeah,
What did yours say?
well, I'm willing to adopt and put into this ordinance the word for word what, mine just says you shall not hold any other form of employment with the city except as a special.
Is it still here?
Yeah, it's right there.
Oh, this is you. Okay.
That's what I wrote. She deleted that and came up with that.
I wouldn't even put the except.
Well, then you have a circumstance like I had.
Yeah, but you got yours later.
I'm out the door anyways, but my
But I
point
mean,
is,
you became a special employee after you were already on the council.
yeah, but this would bar special municipal employees.
Right, but most special municipal employees are already full-time municipal employees. You're like the only one who wasn't. Like, the tax
Correct.
collector was already full-time.
Correct.
He had to come in to say, I want to do more.
Correct.
So I say just,
I'll do whatever, I think you get where I'm going with it.
yeah, I just say, if you're an employee, you can't be the separate you're in a permanent conflict of interest on almost everything. If you're sitting on the city council
You need
and
to
you're
be-
an employee,
Well, because here's the other
because
thing.
everything affects you as an employee.
Well, right, and I think the influence of the mayor over any city councilor, it's bad enough we got spouses of city councilors, right? I've never been comfortable with that situation, and that's been going around for as long as I've been here with different people. But putting that on the side, if you work in one of the city departments and you're gonna be over here criticizing the mayor, well, guess what happens when your pay raises, your promotions, all of these
Just a
things.
conflict.
It's just a total
There's
conflict.
no way it's not a
around it.
conflict of interest. I just,
And, what would we think about a city councilor that worked here, say, was, you name it, oh, well, I can't collect my 10,000, but then the mayor, as soon as they take office, gives them a $10,000 raise? What would be our immediate thoughts if that occurred? Because that is currently legal. We would know exactly where that's coming from.
right, but it wouldn't matter, because it still would be legal.
Now it would be, not under this.
Well, but could they couldn't do the transfer without city council approval for personnel line, so we changed that one, Kevin.
We did
So you
change,
just put the increase in the budget like he did in the last budget. Look at how much went through.
Oh,
yeah,
you
he
don't
might have to
you
wait
don't have to
till,
explain to him how much went through. I was over there voting no, although.
I know, me too.
So-
I was with you.
no, you're absolutely right. He might have to wait till July 1st, but, yeah.
I think it's cleaner if it's legal. I
Yeah.
wouldn't want to do it if it's illegal, but I think it's cleaner. You make choices in your life. If you want to work for the city, then you don't want to run for city council. If you want to run for city council, then you don't want to work for the city.
I know George Cruz, when George Cruz got elected down at Ward 1, and you knew George. George worked for the DPW as a trash guy, right? He got elected to city council, beat McDermott. He gets up to the inauguration, right? And that's a whole funny story.
Yeah.
But anyways, long story short, George quit. And it's
Did he quit the council or his job?
Quit the council. He served for about, what, a day or two?
Even that same day.
Yeah.
same day.
Same day he got sworn in, he resigned.
Why?
Why? Because they said you're out of here. They were gonna can him from the DPW, because they said you couldn't hold two jobs. So we went from that to.
Well, so much for the constitutional right. I don't know. I'm not saying that makes it true. I'm just saying. as a
That
practical
happens.
matter.
That happened, so.
Well, I don't know. I think it's cleaner, if you're gonna be on the city council, if you're gonna be the legislator, don't be the line staff.
Pending hearing something otherwise from the law department to convince me otherwise, I would stay with that language.
And keeping or crossing off except.
Either, whatever.
I say just keep it clean, that you're not gonna be an employee if you're gonna be a counselor. You could be a volunteer, right?
I suppose. Yep.
I don't know, what does everybody else think?
Oh, I actually found out, though, I couldn't even volunteer, though. I will tell you that,
Why not?
because it was considered a position. Because the pay was so insignificant.
I know, but they
I
wouldn't let you work without pay?
No, the issue was not the pay.
Oh,
The issue was I couldn't do it, because it was considered a position in the school department.
oh.
So
Well, what
I
is-
offered
what
to
do-
do it, I would have done it for free, but.
What
that
did the
was-
other members think?
Well,
He's like the only one that ever came up in that situation.
I understand the intent. I think we should have the law department look it over, and they'll give us some feedback, so we can put it in right now, and I'm okay, and we'll,
Do you want the accept special thing in or out?
I go back to the charter.
Out.
Charter very clear, out.
Yeah.
I would say leave it in myself, but that's me.
I have a question. If the
We
charter.
could just leave this as is for now.
Yeah, until we get it back.
Yeah,
and
we'll
see if we can
have
come
another
up with a
run at
better
it.
way.
Because we're gonna need her to.
We're crossing off this lined edit, we're keeping the deleted,
I understand.
right? No?
Sure.
Is that a motion? We're keeping your original language
Yep.
that she deleted,
Okay.
right?
Well, I was just gonna leave everything as is for tonight.
Oh, all right. We'll leave it alone.
Because I'd like her to come and explain why she deleted that.
All right,
Yeah,
all
it
right,
would be-
all right. So we'll say question.
Just a
explain
question mark, next meeting, the 14th.
For Crystal.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. I wasn't with you there for
Okay.
a second. Okay.
All right, so violations and penalties. This says, any alleged violation of the terms of this section shall be presented to the city solicitor, who shall investigate any and all claims, as well as confer with the state ethics for appropriate penalties or remedies based on their findings. So this is basically leaving the city solicitor to determine what the penalties are.
Are you kidding me?
How's that gonna work?
Yeah. So, I think,
Puts the city solicitor in charge of the ethics of the city council?
I, on the other hand, prefer all of the language that I had in here before, which is, the top one on the right. Any employee or municipal official who violates this chapter shall be subject to appropriate discipline, including suspension, termination, censure, consistent with any state civil service law or city charter, as well as to civil or criminal prosecution. Knowing violations constitute misdemeanors shall be punishable by a fine of not more than $300 per day per offense, which is the highest civil penalty for all city contracts shall include a clause for allowing termination in the event of a violation of this chapter with connection to awarding, administration, or performance of a contract.
If we add that, does the lack of that clause make her opinion that the procurement ordinance didn't apply, correct? because then it doesn't have the clause?
Say that again?
Remember in the discussion that the contracts, that this law did not apply to the towing contracts because the contract didn't have a phrase in it that was signed that said that.
He would sign before.
That was her
yeah.
basis for saying
yeah.
that.
Yeah, but then once I questioned that, and I said, that's not what the ordinance says. The ordinance says, you may not, as a contractor, give a donation to anybody who is an incumbent for a period while you are holding any contract.
Right, but I'm
And
just-
for a period of 4 years.
But I'm just
Doesn't-
saying, do you,
We don't need,
right, so that's why I'm asking, would you really want C? That's all.
that's just going on to take a step,
Yeah, all right,
this is
I'm
just, this is just saying that they can't make contracts without also including that as a provision too.
Right,
Not that that's the only remedy.
but then you'd also want to say that the fact that it isn't in the contract doesn't mean that this doesn't
apply.
matter.
Correct. It's absence, yeah.
Because you say that, then you got to say the other thing.
That's true. Exactly, exactly. That's a good point. What would you like to have for enforceability? This gets into 10 taxpayer, this is again from Framingham, 10 taxpayer lawsuit.
I like the ability of the citizens to have a
Citizens.
say in their government. This is
Absolutely.
becoming like a kingdom.
Correct. And taxpayers,
It just.
so
people
I want to have strong, I don't want to let the law department, just dictate everything here. Because they can, again, they're appointed by the mayor, so they could, in a bad situation, we could have, water, the Nixon White House over here too, which I would prefer not to have, where they start saying, just go sweep this under the rug. So I'd like to keep much of my current language in there.
So we would add in a phrase that says the absence of a contract, of this contract clause does not mean the law is not applicable?
Yeah.
Or you don't say not, you probably say, the law is applicable in the absence of this clause.
The failure to include such a clause does not release the parties from the binding authority of this ordinance. Hey, Keith? Hey, I'm at the city council meeting. Can I call you in a little bit? Okay, thank you. I'll call you in a little while.
All right. So now, maybe what they're thinking about it going to the city solicitor is if it's an employee of the city.
I don't mind,
City councilors are technically considered employees, but elected officials who are violating this ordinance should not be running through the city solicitor.
yeah, we can break it out for that. We could have,
But staff, I could see, would be,
what about the,
if it was that.
and what about the mayor?
If it's the mayor,
I want the mayor subject to, it should be the elected officials should be all under these rules.
right, but I just think, it's like, how does somebody who's working for somebody be their determiner of their actions?
I kind of like the way the whole thing is just written already. It's just it's a penalty and bang.
Yeah.
That's the way it is.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of this language they came up with,
Yeah. So what do you want to do with that? Let her talk about it again, the why?
Yeah, I would like to make a motion to just include all the original language with your amendment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so include original language on enforcement.
Anything we haven't covered, though, do we want to,
There's just one part I wanted to,
please?
under political contribution, the definitions,
Sure.
I was just curious as to, I mean, let me just make sure I didn't. does the political contribution, do we need to expressly talk about in-kind contributions? Because it seems like most of the paragraphs talking about gifts or money or purchases. And I don't know if we mention in-kind contribution, and
Under S.
I might be missing it.
Under
S1,
No, well, in the general, it says, or anything of value, which would be like a mailing contributed by.
gift, subscription, loan, advance, deposit of money, or thing of value.
So we don't have to specifically say in-kind. So, because you've got, so non-cash is basically in-kind. So,
We could add the words in
I
kind.
mean, if you think it's covered,
In-kind.
Yeah, sure, why not?
In kind, I think.
Deposit of money.
I think-
In kind, just add
I
after
think
deposit
in
of money.
kind is more generally understood than a thing of value.
Well, why don't we just say this? Have both. Make it
Yeah,
as
yeah.
So write deposit of money, in-kind contribution, or thing of value. So just
Mm-hmm.
add the word in-kind contribution.
Yep.
After the word
Yeah,
deposit
thing
of money.
value, a Ming vase.
yeah.
There you go.
Just-
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, that's good.
I second that motion.
All in favor?
All right,
Aye.
Now, for municipal officials, people that are subject to this,
Where are you now?
I'm on municipal official definitions.
Oh, the definitions.
So pretty much it's expansive to employees, boards, commissions, and all the elected officials and such, including these certain important department heads. So we'll give it some more thought. I think we've made some good progress on it tonight.
All right, so are you going to send the amendments over for an updated
Yes,
draft
Yep.
for the 14th?
yes,
Okay. Because, I mean, there'll be a little bit more, but I think we got through most of it.
yeah. If anything else comes to people's mind.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to send.
Do we want to include any disclosure rules? That was the only other thing.
Aren't there disclosure rules already? Disclosures shall be made in accordance with blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, 268A.
There you go. And I don't know where it would best go.
I'll think about that and how we incorporate this,
Disclosures.
disclosure, 268A. Okay. All right, so I make a motion to retable item 5, or
I'm
adopt.
going to send it as amended to legal for
Send as a-
updated draft?
Yeah, as amended to legal for an updated draft.
That's a motion. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And,
Send to legal for updated draft as amended,
yep, and we'll take it up again on the 14th.
November 14th,
Sure.
11/2.
motion to
Okay.
take up number 8.
Is there a second?
Sure.
All in favor?
I
Item
guess,
8, filed by Counselor Jordan, that the mayor, procurement officer, law department, rep of Hampshire Towing, rep of Reds Towing appear to discuss the campaign donations made to Mayor Alex Morris, et cetera. They had failed to be available at the last meeting. We put it on the agenda again because it's the time for it to be addressed. There was a communication that went to Ryan from Mr. Johnson,
okay,
who said he had previously indicated that he had a very busy schedule in October and would not be able to be available, and further affirmatively noted that if he didn't hear anything further, he would consider the matter closed.
all right. Well, we'll see how that goes.
I wasn't
I'd like to
sure
keep-
if you wanted to take it up again, but it seemed to go hand in hand with the ethics discussion.
It does. It is absolutely on point. It is the rule. I think we've really dived into it at the last meeting, that the quote-unquote unsolicited legal opinion of the last meeting was, I think is a misread, clearly, of the ordinance. And I'm going to say it's on good faith, but it's clearly a misread. And I requested at the last meeting to speak with Paul Payer and her to go over the enforcement provisions. So I would like to continue to have that conversation with them, and we'll see. But, I doubt I'm going to get any movement before November 7th.
Counselor Lopez?
Are we able to have our own lawyer just to look into this? Are we able to have a special, I mean, like,
Well, that's gonna be one of my requests, is that they need to have, I mean, I just think on something like this, if they really dig in on that position, which is to me such a clear misreading of the rule, which says very clearly, which, by the way, this ordinance was drafted in complete consultation with the law department, signed off by the law department.
Just not these lawyers.
Yeah, but believe it or not, there were lawyers in the law department before that.
Yes.
And Kara Acuna, who was here for many years, signed off on this ordinance. And there was no talk of anything was grandfathered. That's all, in my opinion,
Is that what you had asked?
totally extraneous. That is total misread, and I don't know where that's coming from. And of course, the mayor, who will hang his hat on anything to keep a campaign donation,
He's the one that said about the
he's hanging his hat on that like, oh, we're covered, we're all set.
Yeah.
I got news for you. I don't think it's all set. And the ordinance to me is quite clear. He vetoed it specifically because of those provisions.
Right, and we
because he
overrode
knew it
it.
was enforceable, and we had to override his veto. So I would like to continue to have a good conversation with the law department, believe in good faith, but we'll see where it takes us.
So do you want to table it?
Keep it tabled.
motion to table number 8?
Yep.
I guess.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
9 do we need to do, or?
Oh, if we could.
Okay, motion to take 9 off the table.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Filed by Counselor Leahy. This was the order that we took up at the last meeting, filed by Counselor Lisi. Counselor Leahy's order more specifically referenced the MGL Chapter 90. And his order specifically was that the City of Holyoke opt in to Mass General Law, Chapter 90, Section 17C, which will establish, is the establishment of a 25 mile per hour speed limit in thickly settled or business district in city or town. What this will do is setting the reasonable and proper speed on all city and town-owned streets within thickly settled or business districts at 25 miles per hour that do not have an existing special speed regulation. If the city adopts this language, Holyoke can also adopt a 25 mile per hour thickly settled speed zone on a street-by-street basis. The reason why I put this on was twofold. I intended to have both of the orders on the last agenda so that we would take them up together. However, since this didn't get on the agenda, it did need to be properly addressed. And because I think there was a level of fatigue at the last meeting on this matter, we had had a lot of discussion about it, about whether we had to adopt it for all the streets or whether it could be street by street. We heard vocal opposition to adopting it for all streets, and I personally am swayed by that argument. And I am warm to adopting it for thickly settled and business districts, but I want to do it on a street-by-street basis. I'm convinced that you don't punish the people that are doing the right thing by making a rule for everybody. I do find that argument convincing. But there are certain streets, and I've been in certain towns, where you go to a certain area, it says thickly settled, 25 miles. That, to me, is reasonable. But so, anyway, that's my thinking on it, and we have recommended out a committee at the last meeting to adopt the law, but we stopped short of saying in which manner.
But do we know, can we do that? If we adopt the law, is it, you can still do street by street? I haven't yet to see that in a legal opinion. I think there was a question as to getting a legal impact on what we're doing on this.
Mike McManus had looked into it, and when he came, he said we can adopt it on a street-by-street basis.
That's not what I heard. I heard it was, we're not sure. That was about as close to clarity as I saw on it.
And he will have to come back with a list of whatever street.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that,
I agree with you if that's the case. I don't think that's, I'm not, could be the case. I just don't know. And I don't want to accidentally change every street in the city to 25. That's my only
It wasn't, I don't know why this is hard. It's not gonna change every street in Holyoke to 25. But the way you're portraying it is, I mean, I'm just trying to simplify this to not, to, I mean, one of the at-large counselors who was here last time, he wanted to have a heretofore unknown public safety committee, comprising of the fire chief and I mean, I never heard of this body. Does it, maybe it exists, never seen it once in my 6 years, just to make it efficient. So we respond to the public saying we're trying to do something. At the same time, this allows Mr. McManus, the city engineer, to look at the major arteries and say, no, this doesn't fit into the thickly settled criteria. So we're going to leave that speed limit at 35 miles per hour. Certainly Smith's Ferry, that's not going to change.
Can we just get a legal opinion that just says it's street by street after
Why do we have to have a
adopt it?
legal opinion? Why, I mean, this is a simple process adopted in dozens of cities across the Commonwealth. Why do we need a legal opinion? It just thickly settled, 25 miles per hour, established by the DPW superintendent, and let them have at it. Let them have at
Northampton
it.
Street is considered thickly settled.
Again, in his professional opinion, Northampton Street from one end to the other, it may be thickly settled, but in his professional opinion, that doesn't qualify for a 25 mile per hour speed limit.
Why?
Because it's a major artery of the city, it's similar to Cherry Street, Beach Street, and Jarvis, and you name the rest of them.
Well, yeah,
I mean,
right.
so now you're gonna be, we're gonna be sitting here looking at Bowers and Magnolia and Park Slope and you name it. We're gonna go run through a city street by street? I mean, stop that. I mean, and then you get the bizarre notion of certain counselors, well, one way on the street should be a certain mile per hour, and a certain
That's
way, because it's a
crazy.
hill,
Yeah,
should be another mile per
That
hour.
actually is the case
That is crazy, but yeah.
Southampton Road.
It's crazy talk. I mean, but that's why we're bound here for hours upon end. Let them have at it, post the signs 25 miles per hour.
Hang on, I'm just trying to see if I can
I
find.
just don't want to pass something.
Okay, can I just read this?
Yes, please.
Question 6, how does the new speed limit legislation passed in 2016 affect my town? Creates 2 new sections to Chapter 90. Section 193 allows the municipality to opt in to MGL 90 blah, 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 reducing the speed limit from 30 to 25 on any or all city or town-owned roadways within a thickly settled or business district. The legislation also requires cities and towns to notify Mass DOT of these changes. So it allows the municipality to opt in, reducing it from 30 to 25 on any or all. Section 194 creates MGLC 9018B, allowing municipalities to establish regulatory 20 mile per hour safety zones. Since this creates a regulatory speed limit, the MUTCD requires an engineering study prior to the establishment of the safety zone, and so it should conform to the guidance found in Mass DOT procedures for speed zoning. That's if you're going below the 25. But it says any or all. So if we pass it, we're not stipulating that it has to be all.
Correct,
And-
correct. There's
Just
flexibility.
as long
That's
as
the
we
point.
make that
But the law makes
Right.
it there. There's flexibility.
Right, and that's why I just wanted to clarify and say street by street basis, so we're not saying all. But that's
Make
what
sure
it
you-
says.
Any or all.
That's what he gave us, yeah.
Yeah,
I have it here.
yeah.
Where does it say the DPW superintendent gets the discretion to pick which, and where does it say that? Doesn't say that. It says any or all streets. And who picks the any or the all?
DPW superintendent at, what do you want to consult?
It must
with-
be in the invisible ink part.
Oh, wait, here we go. Here's the other question. Can cities and towns post their own speed limits? Municipalities that opt into Section 193 of Chapter 218 of the Acts of 2016 on a street-by-street basis may post thickly settled district 25 miles per hour signs at the upstream ends of the street, and that's what I've seen in the towns that do street by street.
Well, here's what we do. Can we unadopt this section if it turns out to be a problem? I mean,
Why not?
Right there. Says it right there, Mr. President.
I'm soon to be a maker of history, yeah. Make me history.
But this is why they're saying municipalities that opt in on a street-by-street basis. That's why I'm saying, I'm not saying it to make it harder, I'm just saying it to give us the
Counselor
flexibility.
Bartley has never been so passionate on any issue as the adoption of 9017C. So
I don't know about
I am
that, but-
completely convinced
Okay.
that I must vote yes now.
But anyway, we have already voted to adopt the law.
But if there's
The
any-
question is simply, do we want to say anything more specific or leave it as it was? And I just wanted to take this up to get it put together with the
I'll
other.
make a
So
motion
if the
that,
Northampton Street 25-mile-an-hour signs go up, it's 6 months from now.
Good
I'll
night.
just say, call
But it
Linda
wouldn't-
Vacant in Ward 5.
It wouldn't happen.
call David Bartley,
right?
531. 413
Call the
531.
vacant at
Motion.
222-222.
Motion is already complied with.
Second.
Complied with,
All
or
in
you're looking to
favor?
adopt
Yeah,
this?
because without
Well, I
the,
thought- I thought- What did we
No,
do
we're
last
already-
meeting?
I thought,
That's-
oh, it's already been adopted?
Yes.
Oh, okay, all right, complied with then.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to take 10 off the table,
I lost my
only because of the sponsor.
Oh, good night.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Filed by Counselor Bartley, the city ordinances be amended to prohibit parking during the winter months, November through March, for example, at the north corner of Fenton Street where it connects with Homestead Ave. This would allow for better access for plows and emergency vehicles. It is a constituent request. These were the two orders we were going to pull out of committee at the next city council meeting, and I wanted to avoid that mess.
So a motion to,
Adopt, refer to the law department to put in the legal.
put in legal form, yeah, and they can
Second.
say it through December 1, or, I don't care.
What do you
You
want?
want to have a final tweak on the 14th? Send a legal for drafting and then with final review by yourself on the 14th?
Yeah,
that
and I
ordinance?
think December 1, Madam Chair, is sufficient. December 1.
December
through
1
Through April 1.
through
That's what we have
April-
elsewhere in the ward,
1.
and that's what I just want to keep it,
Is that an amendment?
that's an amendment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. And then motion
All in
to adopt into legal, and we'll put it back here for the 14th for final.
Once over.
is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So, two legal for legal form for November 14th. Because Mike already said it was fine.
Oh, great.
Then we should
Remember
have,
we discussed it
It'll be a quick
generally
review, though.
Because
Yeah, well, a quick review.
you had been hoping it would
Yeah.
be on the agenda, and he was like, that wouldn't be a problem, but.
motion to take 11 off the table?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Filed by Counselor Jordan, ordered that the ordinance section 86-106 permit parking be amended to reflect the following changes. 1, that not more than 2 parking stickers be allowed per household. 2, that the ordinances reflect that Center Street is only addresses 1 through 20 Center Street from North Canal to Lyman Street. We also got feedback from a constituent
Yep.
that said something to the effect that the parking stickers be to vehicles registered to the residents.
Sure.
Something to that effect.
Sure.
Yeah, I'll make that up.
Add that as item 3.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Let me, I just want to see if I can find,
It was from a citizen.
citizen it said.
Concerned citizen, yes.
Well, it's just citizen. Not
Just
in-
citizens, not necessarily concerned.
I got an anonymous phone call, followed up by an anonymous email, but I like those.
Usually when you see indictments, they say
So-
concerned citizen, CC1.
So what are we
CC2.
saying, that the vehicles must be registered to the resident?
Residents,
Resident/residents.
how about household? That the permit is being issued for, because this 1 refers to household. Maybe we should say that, or,
That not more than 2 parking stickers be allowed per household. That
Oh, I see what you're saying, so
That-
you want the,
the,
Just trying to use common lingo.
yeah,
So instead of saying residence, just use the word household. That the permit is sought for. That they actually have to be.
that the vehicles must be registered to the household.
For which the permit is being sought from,
registered to the household for which the permit is being sought, period.
period. Okay. So that's a motion, seconded.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Make a motion this be adopted. This was at the request of the clerk's office.
I thought it looked like cleanup, so let's get it done.
Yeah.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So it's adopted as amended.
Yep.
4-0. Okay. Up to
Take
12.
item 12 off the table.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Filed by Counselor Lopez, order that the Holyoke notification system only purpose should be for emergency notifications.
Motion to adopt.
Second, that an ordinance be created, just a little tweaking of the language, just say that the Holyoke notification system shall only be used for emergency notifications, period.
Can we designate who's gonna be the voice of the emergency system?
Used.
I
Can
thought
we
about
say
that, but I
who it's
don't.
not?
Can we designate who the voice isn't?
I think it should be
I mean,
the
good
chief
gravy.
of the police if it's an
I mean,
emergency system.
talk about hubris. I mean, this is the height of chutzpah is my,
I think it should be public safety official if it's an emergency broadcast system.
Yeah.
How the department should be handling that.
DPW or the
Or
police?
or the fire.
shall be
It's
a
an
non-elected
emergency.
official. The voice shall be that of a non-elected official.
I'm okay.
I'm okay with that.
Thank you.
Order that the Holyoke notification system shall only be used for emergency notifications
And
to be announced by
a non-elected official.
safety
A non-elected,
A non-
non-elected
A
city
non-elected safety official.
safety official. Define safety official.
Public safety official.
Public safety official.
Because I'm pretty sure Monday you're gonna get one.
Me too.
Don't
Well,
forget,
it's
don't
not
forget,
adopted
voting
yet.
polls are open tomorrow.
Well, no,
Just wanted to let you know, and here's
Let
the
me say my
list.
name 3 times first, and then get into it, and then say it 3 times afterwards.
Voting is your civic duty. Please don't forget to vote.
I love it. I'm on mass
I mean,
live.
that's like the Prince of Darkness. He's brilliant, because just a public service notice from the Secretary of the Commonwealth. Right?
Yeah.
As I say, absolutely brilliant. Here we are.
It's like when
The only
Congress
thing
people.
missing is the unspoken for me.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
those are free political ads for the Secretary of the Commonwealth.
Yeah, I
Well,
know.
this is almost akin to Congress having what's called the franking privilege, which is they have unlimited free U.S. mail.
His signature's a
As
stamp.
long as it's,
His signature is a stamp.
yes, exactly. Any member of Congress or the U.S. Senate can send unlimited mail as long as it's quote-unquote for a government purpose.
Of course, now, in the era of social media,
Hi, this is Congressman Jordan. I just want to say, this is what's going on in Holyoke today. And here's a 20,000-piece mailing.
okay, so a motion to adopt as amended is in order.
Second,
All in favor?
aye,
And so we need to send this to legal?
to draw into legal form for
legal
final,
form?
final review on the
For the
14th.
14th.
Send to
So we need a further
legal,
tweak.
legal
I think we got that one
form,
covered. I like that one.
I like that.
November 14th.
Get the veto pen ready.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty
Oh, yeah, that one's
question
gonna
about that.
bite the dust.
Unless it'll be one of his famous pocket vetoes. Yeah, then we just, they take
Councilor
away.
Sullivan experienced that one.
On to the last but not least item, guys.
Take motion to take 13
Second.
off the table.
All in favor?
Aye.
Filed by Vacan that we adopt state law, chapter 17A, if we need to, which I'm not clear on, or enforce this state law if adoption of the law is not needed, but in any event, I would like to add it to our ordinance. So if we need to adopt it, we adopt it, but I would like it to be included in our ordinance wherever it properly should go.
I would ask that it be put into legal form under the discretion of the chair and consultation with the law department for our meeting on the 14th
Second.
for final wording.
There you go. Another
All in
successful night.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion, nope.
Take good.
Very diligent wheels of government here.
Thank you all.
And no campaign contributions were received to perform my duties this evening.
Ditto.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. I think now we can avoid a 3+ hour meeting on the 14th. It was gonna
Oh,
be-
yes.
Because we spent almost 3 hours tonight, and we have 2 public hearings plus.
Yep.
And if we
So
can get
I
the
really
legal,
appreciate it. I do
the legal
apologize
draft
for the
before the meeting, it will be a
late
lot
notice,
easier.
Yeah.
And I
because then
do
we can read 'em.
understand, I'm sorry?
If we get the
Legal forms before